Pirate's Most Powerful Villain, Chapter 881-900. Chapter 0881-Fairy's Prophecy. This is an unknown holy place in the ninja world. Where it is located on the map cannot be determined. It may be a different world, or a different space or a subspace. Miaomu Mountain, Longdi Cave and Shibone Forest are also known as the three holy places, and are the habitat of three kinds of psychic beasts. At this moment, Jiraiya is walking in this mysterious holy place. Shenzu O Shanran, the prophecy of the big toad immortal Tilda. Zilai also pondered and said, I came to meet you on purpose, is there a new prophecy? Toad Fukasaku walked in front, and said with a sad face, about this, Jiraiya, you will know right away. The great toad immortal, the grandfather of the Miaomu mountain toad, is a leader. It is rumored that he has lived for thousands of years and has witnessed the ups and downs of countless times. Not only that, the great toad immortal has a very powerful chakra in the body, and has the power of prophecy. This prophecy is not divination, but in sleep, transcends time and space, sees the future, and predicts world changes. Jirai also signed a contract with Miao Mushin when he was young. He is no stranger to the immortal Datoad, and his immortal mode is all learned from here. Let's go. Zilai also nodded and went up the mountain. The environment of Miaomu Mountain is very good, the air is full of natural energy, living here, people's lifespan will become longer. Not long after, Zilai also came to a cave and saw the big toad immortal. The great toad immortal, the 10th generation patriarch of Miaomu Mountain, is a toad that has survived for thousands of years since the Kagaya era. This old toad, sitting there with his eyes closed, looked like a sculpture. He wears a necklace with the word, oil, a doctor's hat, and the word, immortal, on the seat. Sensing the arrival of Jiraiya at this moment, he Vivi opened his mouth, and his voice spoke softly. XR. Jilla, you are here. Fairy Toad, what kind of future did you dream of? Hearing this, immortal Big Toad was silent for a while before saying, I asked you to come here to tell you the only way to save this world. What? Jillai was also shocked. He believed very much in the prophecy of immortal Big Toad. Since the other party said so, it would definitely happen in the future. Yi. I once told you that you will go up the mountain, you will write novels, and you will gain 2 disciples, both sons of prophecy. These are all prophecies in the past, but a few days ago, the future was changed. The future has been changed. Jiraiya looked very bad. What will happen in the future? What did you see? The war between the 5 great nations. The 4th Ninja World War. The big toad fairy Vivi opened a gap, and in his old eyes, there was a trace of fear. This is just the beginning. The powerhouse who once called for wind and rain will appear again, and the righteous and evil in history will reappear, and the future will be the same. It's like a maelstrom that involves everyone, and the 5 major countries are just pawns. The future he sees is not transparent and will be blurred, but from the clues, he can guess some. The real protagonist will never be a ninja. Immortal Big Toad shook his head. I saw the earth shattered, the ninja world was torn apart, mountains and rivers were wiped out, the sea was overturned, islands were silent, and volcanoes erupted. Along with countless deaths, and finally a tailed beast appeared, a tailed beast with 10 tails. 10 tails. Jiraiya's pupils shrank. 2 heads and 10 tails. The shapes are different, but they do have 10 tails. The battle between the 2 has spread to countless, and the fight is broken, and eventually the entire ninja world is destroyed. Immortal Big Toad took a deep breath and said, but, this is not the most terrifying, the most terrifying is. He opened his mouth, suddenly snorted, vomited blood, and the whole person's spirit languished, as if he had aged thousands of years and was not far from death. Immortal Big Toad, Jiraiya shouted in shock. Jiraiya, I don't know what kind of power is constraining the prophecy, I can't say the name, no I even imagine it in my head and it will become like this. This is the power beyond my knowledge, that person it can even interfere in the future and reverse fate. 9 flowers. The big toad fairy became weaker and weaker. Now, listen to me, there is only one way to save the world. You said it. The only way. It is impossible to stop everything, only follow the general trend, adapt to everything in the cruel war, and finally, when everything ends, crawl under the feet of the Emperor, praying for a glimmer of hope. Immortal Big Toad said very solemnly, remember, don't resist, don't be provocative, don't be hostile. He used 3, don't, in a row to express the seriousness of the matter. However, with that said, his injury became more and more serious. After speaking, he had fallen into a coma, like a sculpture, sitting there, motionless. Those who didn't know, thought he was dead. Jiraiya's brain was in chaos, and he was completely confused by this prophecy. What is it? The Great Emperor, the destruction of the ninja world. At the same time, in the underground of a battlefield somewhere in the land of rain, Qinyang sat on the throne and quietly opened his eyes. Someone is predicting the future. Let me see who it is. His eyes narrowed slightly, as if he had traveled through time and space and saw the truth. So that's the case, Immortal Big Toad. This guy's abilities are really amazing, and he can even predict 1 or 2 of my tracks. Qinyang's body is a phantom god, omnipresent, ubiquitous, especially after the 7-star level, which has exceeded time. Ordinary people don't even think about predicting his affairs, but Immortal Big Toad can still see a thing or two. I have to say that those thousands of years were not in vain. Should be frightened. If you peep at me, you will bear my weight, and you will peel off your skin if you don't die. Moreover, the future he sees is not necessarily true. The future is just in my thoughts. Change. Quote. Qinyang shook his head and ignored this issue for the time being. The next day. Fire Country, Konoha Village, Hokage Office. Tsunade saw a visitor. She looked at the person in front of her in shock, and the whole person fell into a state of sluggish speechlessness. Second generation adults. Chapter 0882 Orochimaru's action. Lighter. And GT. A hallucination. After the initial shock, Tsunade couldn't help rubbing his eyebrows again. The mess of Konoha has made me hallucinating, damn Union. 2 days ago, Union invaded Konoha outrageously, and the frontal battlefield broke out. As a party to resist the invasion, Konoha retreated steadily at the border. During the period, there was a team invading the village to harass. Tsunade was a little suspicious. Of course, this is not to say that Konoha can't beat Yunyin, but it is just deliberately showing the enemy to be weak, in order to involve more Yunyin's combat power in the future, looking for an opportunity to hurt the opponent in one breath, and the opponent will stop fighting. Anyway, there are phoenix feathers here, and the dead ninjas will all be resurrected in one breath after accumulating a certain amount. As long as Union's intelligence doesn't keep up, he will mistakenly think that Konoha is getting weaker and weaker, and when he wants to attack in a big way, he will suffer a real counterattack from Konoha's side. However, this is an ideal situation. It will not take long for Raikage to obtain information on such a big thing as a group resurrection. Therefore, this strategy is unlikely to succeed, but Tsunade still chooses to give it a try. It is. The problem is high-end combat power at present. No one in the village is the opponent of the 4th Raikage. Tsunade thought with a headache, she might not be able to beat her by herself. Just as he was thinking, suddenly a voice came. I looked at you for a long time with a frowning look on your face. Tsunade, you haven't changed at all. Thousands of hands whispered softly. Huh. Tsunade froze, then raised his head mechanically, his eyes widened. You're not a hallucination. I'm real. It's a long story, just treat me like I'm back from that world. Phew. Shinsho Tobarama shook his head. I've been fortunate enough to suffer recently. What's the situation with Konoha now? Second generation. No, second grandpa. Are you really second grandpa? It's very troublesome to explain. There are some reasons. I can't tell you the specific situation, but I did resurrect. No, to be precise, I was born again. Shinsho Tobarama pondered, but still didn't plan to talk about Qinyang. On the one hand, the reputation issue, he said that he couldn't disclose it, of course he couldn't disclose it. Second, Chinyong was too scary, and he was afraid that he would end up angering the other party. It's not just me, it won't be long before your grandfather will be resurrected, so will the third generation. What? Tsunade was dumbfounded. What happened? The first and second generations who had been dead for many years were resurrected, and the third generation, which even the phoenix feather could not be resurrected, would appear again. In an instant, Tsunade thought of the holy archangel. I'm afraid that guy has something to hide from her. But, this is a good thing, she didn't go too deep into it, but said solemnly, Second grandfather, I am the fifth Hokage now. In order to be responsible for the village, please first prove that you are Chinsho Tobarama, not someone pretending to be. It turns out that you are doing the right thing. Chinsho Tobarama nodded, not only not angry, but a little admiring. Before I came here, I went to the home, and left the coordinates of the Flying Thunder God. This ninjutsu should be able to prove it. Between the words, he walked to the table and put his hand on Tsunade's head. Don't resist. Tsunade instinctively tightened his body, but considering that the other party was an elder and a grandfather, although it was a little suspicious, he did not resist in the end. The next moment, the space changed, and the two disappeared from the Hokage office and appeared in the old house of the Chinsho clan. The old house has been uninhabited all the year round, it has been in disrepair for a long time, and it is full of dust. Although you can still see the wealth when it was in good condition, it is just a broken house now. Tsunade was stunned. When you were young, you used to run around here, and I hugged you here. Chinsho Tobarama looked at Tsunade, and then used ninjutsu to wash the surrounding furniture with water escape. In the blink of an eye, you are like this. Big. Time is an irresistible force. When he said this, he thought of Chinyong, as if some people could still resist. Second grandpa. Tsunade finally let go of his doubts. Although he was full of doubts, he couldn't ask. Relax, since I'm back, Konoha will be fine. Chinsho Tobarama said. Now, let's talk about the situation of the war. Good. Quickly opened Shikai release. There is a gap between the land of fire, the land of wind, and the land of earth. In this area, there are 7 or 8 small countries. Country of birds, country of river, country of rain, country of grass, country of taki, etc. After Uzumaki Naruto turned into a beast, he escaped from Yunin village, fled all the way to the northwest, escaped the country of rain, entered the country of grass, and then entered the country of taki. Along the way, there was huge damage. After a morning of investigation, Kakashi and the three have basically figured out the ins and outs. At this moment, in the country of Taki, in a tavern, 3 people sat one after another. Senior Kakashi, it seems that Uchiha Itachi didn't lie to us, Ja said. I have investigated a lot along the way, and I can basically be sure that the tailed beast who made a fuss is Naruto. We are already very close. Really? Then do it as soon as possible, not too late. Shan Kakashi said decisively. The longer it takes, the more annoying it will be. We have to bring Naruto there as soon as possible. Where is Sand Ninja Village? Matkai asked. Although Sand Ren was one step behind them, now, he should have reached the land of rain. The two sides had booked a place to meet, but now that they have all gone to the land of Taki, naturally they will never see each other again. I left a message that their man, Zuli, has died. How to do it depends on them. Kakashi shook his head and said, Tsunade-sama means that Gaara died. If Sand Ninja Village wants to be resurrected, it must agree to a condition. Conditions. Kai and Ja glanced at each other and suddenly thought, do you want to unite against the Kingdom of Thunder? No 5.5 wrong. Kakashi nodded, hurry up, let's move fast. With that said, the 3 of them got up one after another. At this moment, a deafening loud noise came. Boom. What? What happened? There was chaos in the tavern. Soon, there was a loud cry from outside, monster, monster. Snake, huge snake. Seeing this, Kakashi's expression changed slightly, and he ran out quickly. He looked up and was shocked to find that in the suburb not far away, there was an Orochi circling, and in front of Orochi, there was a small nine-tailed head. Naruto Orochimaru. Kakashi looked shocked. On top of the giant snake's head, Orochimaru licked his mouth and said with a smile, "I've already run to this place, but I've been chasing it for a long time, 9 tails." Quote. Phyllu reminds you, there are 3 things to read: collection, recommendation and sharing. Do Junhu. Original works of Phyllu Novel Network, and enjoy the joy of reading. Chapter 0883-Resurrection 9 Tails. Xiao Juwei fell on all fours, danced wildly, and grinned at him. "I wasn't interested in people like you, Zuli, but I'm running out of time, so I'm really sorry." Yesterday, Naruto Uzumaki, who ran wild, passed through the country of grass, which is the territory of Orochimaru. After that, Orochimaru has been following the trail of 9 tails until now, and finally intercepted it. As for its purpose, it is naturally to exchange for ninjutsu scrolls. 9-tailed people Zuli, Konoha should be very interested and willing to pay the price to trade. With enough scrolls, he can obtain more blood of immortality from the magic organization, thereby repairing his soul and prolonging his lifespan. One's life is too short, one's life is too fragile, nothing is more important than longevity. Orochimaru's eyes flashed, and his hands formed a seal, the formation of Wanchaluo. He opened his mouth and spit, densely packed, countless snakes crawled out, like an army, and frantically buried towards Naruto Uzumaki. Xiao Juwei was besieged by a group of snakes, which continued to entangle him in an attempt to bury him. But the 9-tailed chakra is so tyrannical. After the ordinary snake touches it, it will be burned to death immediately, but compared with its unimaginable number, in just a short moment, the small 9-tailed has been completely shrouded in. Roar. Suddenly, Naruto Uzumaki opened his mouth and roared, and the 9-tailed chakra erupted suddenly, annihilating all the snakes covering him. A strange black chakra ball was born suddenly. Whoosh. The tailed beast cannon was shot out and landed in front of Orochimaru. Heimei Luo Gate of Life. Quote. Orochimaru grinned and slapped it with a palm. Suddenly, 3 giant gates rose above the ground. After the tail beast cannon bombarded, the first 2 doors were broken one after another, and even the last door had been densely cracked, but it was still blocked. It's not as powerful as I thought. Orochimaru Vivi narrowed his eyes for a while. What's going on? Is this guy showing weakness? Or is he really getting weak? He has a lot of combat experience, and he is very keen to detect the abnormality. It seems that you have to be careful. If the ship capsizes in the gutter, Gen's evaluation of me will also decrease, and it will be even more difficult to join. Orochimaru secretly guarded. At this time, on the trail behind, the 3 of Kakashi had already run out. Wearing a mask, said in a heavy voice, "What do we do now? Kakashi-senpai, shall we deal with Orochimaru first?" His voice was not confident. After all, it was Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, who caused unimaginable losses to Konoha last time. "Wait, Naruto's state is very strange," Kakashi said solemnly. He pushed on his forehead, revealing the kaleidoscope in his left eye. "You guys protect me first. Sharingan can control the tailed beast. I will try my best." As he said that, his eyes condensed, and a line of blood and tears suddenly fell. The next moment, his pupil power followed his line of sight and passed it directly. Consciousness space. It was pitch black all around, and only a piece of earth stretched out. On the ground, there are chakras like the sea, and chakras of 9 tails. These chakras are very evil, and they are constantly boiling, like boiling red water. Naruto Uzumaki stood in the center of this chakra sea, and stretched out a strange blood-colored shot from below, wrapping it around his body. This thing is like a straw, constantly absorbing the vitality of Naruto Uzumaki. Well, painful. Uzumaki Naruto's face was distorted, and his consciousness was only a faint trace still awake, but this trace of self-consciousness, like a candle in the wind, could be annihilated at any time. Bing! Naruto! Naruto! Suddenly, Kakashi's voice sounded in the empty space of consciousness. The next moment, a white light flashed, and Kakashi appeared in this chakra sea. This is... Kakashi's face was shocked. Is this the state of Naruto? I just appear here, I can't stand it, and I am swallowed by negative emotions, this guy. Seemingly sensing the presence of outsiders, Uzumaki Naruto Vivi opened his eyes. Kakashi-sensei. Wait for me, I'll save you right away. Kakashi said solemnly. Don't lose to your negative emotions. You are Naruto Uzumaki, and sooner or later you will become Naruto's ninja. Hokage. Uzumaki Naruto's eyes glowed with brilliance, but they were soon distorted by pain. Hey, I saw Sheraton again. Every time I see this kind of eye, I can't restrain my killing intent. Suddenly, a low voice came, and I saw the center of this chakra sea, boiling like magma, quickly condensing the appearance of Nine Tails. I have to thank Naruto. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to resurrect so quickly. Nine Tails. Kakashi's expression changed slightly. What are you going to do to Naruto? HMPH, are you his teacher, Hatake Kakashi? Don't think I don't know who Naruto Uzumaki is. His father split my chakra in two and sealed half of it in his body. This guy made a huge sacrifice for you Konoha, but you Konoha treated him as a monster, and his childhood was not bright at all. Quote. Jue grinned, revealing a row of 630 teeth. Such a huge amount of negativity is just tailor-made. I just tempted a little bit, as if opening a hole at the bottom of the pool. Those things will rush wildly. Come out. I will resurrect and eat all the Uchiha clan. He hated Wantan Itachi and Ludauban. I will stop you. Kakashi gritted his teeth. Naruto, let me protect you. Really, you have also seen that this sea of chakras is hundreds of times the chakra you have. How do you beat me? Jue opened his mouth and let out a roar, and the wind pressure caused by the sound directly blew Kakashi away. Boy, with your kaleidoscope, you still want to control me. Dreaming. Roar. In the real world, Xiao Jue roared, struggled, and slapped the ground frantically, causing the ground to be upright. Orochimaru, who was extremely alert, dumbfounded. What's the matter? Is this guy still conscious? Naruto Uzumaki is resisting. Thinking of this, he grinned. Just right, save my energy. 10,000 snakes. He shouted. The next moment, the purple giant snake under his feet spit out apricots and hurried away towards Jue. After getting close, he opened his huge mouth, as if to swallow Xiao Jue in one bite. At the same time, behind the little Nine Tails, the sixth tail is slowly condensing. Chapter 0884-Robbery. In the consciousness space, Kakashi fought with the resurrected Nine Tails. The two are a competition between consciousness, which is more dangerous. Kakashi-senpai. I noticed that blood was dripping from Kakashi's eyes, and couldn't help but said worriedly. Don't disturb him. If you touch him now, it will drag you down and be dangerous. Matekai whispered. What we have to do is to protect his safety, trust him. Yes. The two silently guarded Kakashi's side, staring at the battle not far away. At this moment, Orochimaru also noticed the existence of the three of them, and couldn't help raising his eyebrows secretly. No wonder the Nine Tails are suddenly in an abnormal state. Is it due to the riding wheel eye? Konoha really wants to take Renzuli to go, just right, take advantage of now. His face became serious, and he slowly formed a handprint, the art of Yaki. Puff. I saw Orochimaru's body transforming wildly, like muddy water, reshaping his body. Its head smashed open, and the next moment, Hachiho Orochi suddenly grew out. This is one of my strongest ninjutsu techniques. Its combat power is 8 times that of a 10,000 snakes, equivalent to the level of a tailed beast. It's more than enough to deal with an incomplete 9-tailed. 8 snake heads, and the voice of Orochimaru came out at the same time. The next moment, the 8 chassis Orochi quickly walked towards the 9 tails. Seeing this, Matekai's expression changed greatly. No, Orochimaru Hiei, you protect Kakashi, I will stop Orochimaru, absolutely cannot let him take Naruto away. Okay, be careful, when necessary, I will use the wooden dung to support. Between words, Kai has rushed over. His telekinesis was extremely fast, and before Orochimaru approached, he intercepted it. Q. Noba Gangly Whirlwind. 7. He roared, chakra wrapped around the soles of his feet, and with astonishing speed and strength, used a roundhouse kick. Boom. One blow, one of Hachichi Orochi's head was kicked away, and Orochimaru's sneering voice came, you want to stop me too? Go back and explain to Konoha, the 9 tails are in my hands, if you want, send someone come and negotiate with me. He didn't pay attention to Matekai at all, and immediately had 3 heads, and they all attacked. The fight between the two is imminent. At the same time, the country of Thunder, Union Village. In Raikage's office, several Junin are reporting the situation of the war. Lord Raikage, infiltrated the Konoha assassination team, lost contact, and is suspected of being killed. What? The 4th Raikage frowned, that's 5 Shangnin and a dozen Chunin, all of whom are elites in the village. You said none of them were alive to pass on the information back. Yes, according to expectations, there should be a returning ninja pigeon, but it has not yet. It is likely to be captured or even dead. How could this be? Isn't Mew very weak? The 4th Raikage couldn't help but mutter. In the frontal battlefield, most of Konoha's power is involved, why can the rear do such a thing? Destroying a team with 5 Junin, and not letting anyone pass the news, would require at least 3 times the strength, or, simply, a shadow-level shot. In the office, a group of Raing senior executives looked at each other. At this time, another ninja ran in and said, Lord Raikage, the information from the direction of Konoha is news from a few days ago. Say. The Konoha ninja who died in the battle with Sand Ninja and Sound Ninja, including ordinary people who were affected by the war, were suddenly resurrected. That day happened to be the day when the 5th generation of Hokage took the throne. NLT-F. What did you say? Raikage's face was shocked, and he resurrected the dead. Tsunade has this kind of power. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. If Konoha had this kind of power, why did he face their invasion, and he appeared to be unable to defeat them on the frontal battlefield and was losing ground? Is this a trap? He suddenly realized that it was not good. Quick, send an order to the front line, don't go deep. Temporarily station. With that said, he acted resolutely and turned to leave the office. I'm going to a place alone, don't follow anyone. Everyone looked at each other. Everyone is not a fool. When they heard this news, they would rather believe it than believe it and treat it as if they were caught in it. Not to mention the village's reaction, Raikage left the office, and not long after, came to a thatched hut alone hanging on a cliff. He stood in front of the door, did not enter rashly, but whispered, Aizen. Say. Inside the house, Aizen's voice came. Are you more informed? Konoha's private resurrection, is it true or false? Of course it's true. Aizen chuckled lightly, however, it's a bit late for you to react now. In addition to Tsunade, Konoha's shadow level, there is also the 2nd generation Hokage, Chinsho Tobarama. The two join forces to prepare eat all your troops on the front line. Thousands of hands Tobarama. Raikage's eyes widened, with an incredible expression. What are you talking about? It's just a fact. If you don't solve it yourself, I'm afraid you will hear unfortunate news later. Aizen said playfully, is greater than or equal to. Hearing this, the 4th generation of Raikage can't believe it. Although it is unbelievable, he still believes a little bit from the mouth of Aizen. This is troublesome, it will take at least half a day to communicate, it is too late. Only he himself, relying on Lei Dun, can reach the front line as soon as possible. In a hurry, Aizen said with a half-smiling smile, Even if you go, 1 against 2 is not your opponent. What do you want to say? Lei Ying's eyes flashed, and he suddenly understood. I know, give me the strongest ghost path that I can master now, and the scroll will not be missing any part. Sound judgment. Squeak. The wooden house was opened, and Aizen walked out slowly, and said with a smile, the 90 of the broken Tao, the black coffin, the 96th of the broken Tao, cremation with a knife, the 97th of the broken Tao, the original world collapsed, destroyed the 98th of the way, the halberd of the true one, the 99 of the destruction, the 5 dragons turning down. You want to learn, which one? By the way, the price has increased now, and the tuition fee for each one is 300 scrolls. Hearing this, Lei Ying's face was ashen as he gritted his teeth. You are taking advantage of the fire. Chapter 0885 The 5 dragons are destroyed. Now it's up 6 times. And GT. In response, Aizen just smiled. Is it expensive? The power of each of the ghosts above 90 is extraordinary. With the current you, it is difficult to grasp. Reading is not a spiritual body, but it only initially inspired the power of death, or Aizen forced him to help him. In this case, it is quite good to be able to use the number 30 or so, and I want to learn more than 90. That is dreaming. Then what do you mean? Lei Ying's expression is getting worse and worse. I can't even learn it. Why are you still telling me this? However, he is indeed very eye-catching about the breach of the road above number 90. He will not talk about it. He has experienced it once and was immediately stunned. As for the others, such as 1 knife cremation, original world collapse, true one's halberd, 5 dragons turned out, the names of the moves are all powerful and terrifying. It's very simple, I can lend you power. Aizen chuckled and said, you choose a ghost, and I'll lend you the power to use once. What are you kidding? Reading frowned. One-time consumption. You can't say that, I just let you use it in advance. You must know that the spiritual power that the top-level breaking path needs to consume is huge. With the current you it's far worse. Of course, if you own enough 887 the spiritual pressure can also be performed by oneself. Quote. Aizen was very calm, it wasn't him who was anxious anyway. Hearing this, Lei Ying was helpless to find that the transaction proposed by the other party was the most suitable solution at present, but it was expensive. I see, the scroll you want. With a light snort, Lei Ying took out a scroll, untied the seal, and suddenly, in a white fog, more than 300 scrolls appeared out of thin air. Can you teach me now? Quote. Of course. Aizen nodded with satisfaction and said, first of all, you have to make a choice, which one do you want to learn? Waiting for the other party to answer, he explained first. Black coffin, you have experienced this yourself, so you don't need to explain. As for the other types, 1 knife cremation is sacrificial destruction. The precondition for using it is to burn the body. Depending on the power and the strength of the caster, the damage suffered is also high or low. How's the power? Reikage frowned. Stupid question, don't use the wisdom of mortals to speculate on the power of the god of death. The full power of a knife cremation can wipe the entire Union village from the map in an instant, and not even a fragment will be left for you. Of course, this is the result of Aizen's own display. With such a great power, Reikage himself will die. HMPH, what is the use of this kind of ghost to me? Reikage said dissatisfiedly, what else? Aizen didn't care either. Anyway, the money was paid, and he immediately laughed. The original world collapsed, the enchantment-type ghost way, instantly creating a huge circular enchantment, smashing all matter from the spiritual level. The range is about a radius of 10 miles. This move is somewhat similar to the Dust Escape, the art of peeling the realm, of the 3rd generation of Soil Shadows, but it is much stronger. Because this is a ghost, it directly kills the soul. The activation is instantaneous. Reikage's face darkened. That's not true. It still takes a little preparation, about 3 seconds. Damn it. In 3 seconds, do you think I can run 10 miles away? Reikage gritted his teeth, fearing that he and the enemy would perish together. It's really surprising. I didn't expect you to have a little self-knowledge. Aizen put her hands in her pockets, and continued to play with taste. I don't learn this, I don't learn that. What do you want to learn? The strongest, number 99 feet S5 dragons are destroyed. Lei Ying said solemnly. This move will not be a problem, right? It's really no problem. This is a move that creates a 5-headed Reiatsu dragon to attack the target with absolute Reiatsu. As far as destructive power is concerned, it is indeed the strongest. Are you sure you want to learn this? As long as it's okay, just let it go. Hearing this, Lan Ran nodded, looked at him sympathetically, and said, I know, since that's the case, then accept the power. Between the words, Hivivi stretched out his right palm, the light of the orchid in the palm flickered, and the next moment, a collapsing jade suddenly condensed and formed. It seems to be the most beautiful substance in the world. Under the color and luster, Reikage's soul must be inhaled. Suddenly, Raing's body shook, his soul seemed to be broken and torn, and there was a huge power that was accumulating and being born in his body. Boom! Suddenly, the spiritual pressure rose into the sky, reaching the sky. The place where Union Village was built was already towering into the clouds, but at this moment, a beam of light shot into the sky, which attracted the attention of countless people. Oh, although this move has no side effects, the 5 dragons created may not necessarily listen to your words. Aizen said to himself with a smile, when the time comes, don't be killed by your own moves. Stab. A flash of lightning flashed, flying close to the ground, and quickly escaping. I'm really impatient if I don't finish listening, but don't blame me for not saying it. Lan Ran shook his head, turned his hands, Bengyu disappeared, his eyes narrowed slightly, and a spiritual pressure was born in an instant. 5 dragons turn out. In the palm of his hand, 5 tiny spiritual pressure dragons were circulating, like earthworms, but each of them contained terrifying power. At this moment, the sky is darkened, as if even the sky is afraid of these 5 dragons. Is greater than or equal to. The country of fire is about 100 miles away from the border in the northeast. This is a frontal battlefield where Konoha and Union fought. The two sides invested a total of about 5,000 ninjas, of which the Chunin accounted for more than half, and the lower one was a little less. The terrain here is relatively complex, with canyons and mountains, but Union comes prepared, and the number of ninjas dominates, and Konoha is retreating. At this moment, in a Grand Canyon, more than 1,000 ninjas of Konoha are retreating, while more Union ninjas are constantly chasing, and the battlefield on both sides spreads, almost filling the entire canyon. At the upper end of the canyon, on a cliff that was as flat as a knife, I saw a flash of space, and Tsunade and Chinshuju appeared together. Not only them, but also more than a dozen Konoha Jonin, such as Asma. Who came up with this plan? Senju Tobarama asked. It's a good use of the time difference in intelligence. Of course, because of his Flying Thunder God's technique, he can send a lot of ninjas at once, so the original plan that was not perfect now seems to be very good. Lu Ju, Tsunade said. Mr. Konoha, that guy has a good head. Really? Tobarama Chisumi nodded. Second-generation adults. In front of everyone, Tsunade called him. As long as all these 3,000 Union ninjas are eaten, even Reikage will have to stop the battle. Get ready, let Konoha's people withdraw to the predetermined location, and I will seal the canyon. Saying that, Chinsho Tobarama has already begun to seal. Water Escape Water Dragon Bite. Chapter 0886-Killing Union. This is developed by him and GT, Water Escape Killing Ninjutsu. It is a powerful attack type, with a very long attack distance, strong power and wide range, and the coverage of the spell can be adjusted according to the situation of the battle. At this moment, in the face of more than 3,000 Union ninjas, even Senju Tobarama had to spend more time to improve the power of a move. Seeing this, Tsunade immediately ordered, "Let's do it together, get ready." Yes, Tsunade-sama. The dozen or so Junin nodded, and then all started to move. A dozen people formed seals and launched ninjutsu. 2 done earth dragon bomb. 2 done rock pillar gun. 2 done 2 lu da. Wind escape vacuum jade. Wind escape, vacuum continuous waves. All of a sudden, all kinds of ninjutsu blossomed. The earth rises and the earth dragon rises, the muddy river flows down on the cliff, the wind blade cuts the cliff wall, and throws the boulder. The natural disaster caused by a dozen Shengnan begins to show its power. At this moment, Tsunade himself stepped forward, walked to the pre-selected position, stared at the battlefield below, then slowly lifted up and stepped on it suddenly. Heaven's feet. Boom. This foot stomped down, the earth suddenly collapsed, the entire cliff seemed to be forcibly smashed, and the huge rolling stone rumbled downwards. This is a canyon, the entrance is narrow, and a few people work together to block it easily. Not only that, in the direction of the exit, there is also a huge cave that can be used to hide. It is easy for thousands of people to hide. Now there is such a big movement in the direction of the cliff, and the Union ninjas who are fighting below have finally discovered that something is wrong. That's what? Landslide. No, it didn't happen naturally, it was Konoha. Damn, is Konoha crazy? Want to bury everyone? Many people shouted. The ninja of Konoha just retreated, there is a cave ahead, this is a trap. The high-level officials of Union's side were shocked and a little scared. If they let that kind of landslide and mud flow down, they would suffer heavy losses, and I don't know how many people died. Quick, step back, get out of this canyon. Someone ordered, but it was too late. The large mudslides completely blocked the narrow and spacious entrance of only a few dozen meters. At this time, from the cliff wall on one side, suddenly a large amount of water, hundreds of millions of tons of water, poured down like a waterfall from God. Water dragon bite. Roar. The dragon roared, and a huge water dragon suddenly rushed out. Its body was hundreds of meters huge. After flying over the battlefield, it fell suddenly. Damn, hurry up, enchantment class. Yunyin Shengren shouted. At this moment, most of Konoha's ninjas have fled into the cave. If Union doesn't do something, they will suffer a major blow. Even if some of them survive, they will have to face Konoha's battlefield cleaning, and no one can escape. Therefore, there is no need to order. Yunyin's several enchantment classes have already begun to act when they find something wrong. Enchantment cloud and mist formation. I saw a few enchantment classes, more than 20 Chunin, and 4 Jonin together, and on the top of the heads of more than 3,000 Union ninjas, a defensive barrier like a sky canopy was opened. The enchantment is transparent, as light as a cloud, when the defense is not weak. The mud flow that fell first, after being washed away, failed to break through. Even if Tsunade's foot broke the mountain, the boulders it smashed were defended. However, before Yunyin could be happy, the water dragon from the Cheni Shuju burst and fell. Boom. After the direct impact, the cloud formation could not be supported and was finally shattered, and then, the overwhelming disaster came. It's over, it's over. Yunyin's side, the high-level leader in charge of the operation, suddenly turned pale and shouted, "Hide behind me. Live, don't die." One is one, he protects a group of people around him, and he brazenly launches his strongest ninjutsu. But the speed of the water dragon's bite was so fast that it didn't give him time to fully activate his moves. Boom. In an instant, the water dragon attacked the ground, the mud flow poured down, the boulders fell, and the formation of Union ninja raged. Did you succeed? On the cliff, Asma Sarutobi watched this scene secretly in shock. Even if it's a hostile relationship, killing 3,000 Union ninjas makes me feel shocked. Unnecessary sympathy. Another Junin shook his head. They are intruders. Kindness to the enemy is cruelty to everyone in the village. That's right. This time, it's a miracle that the other party can survive half of them. As for the surviving ninjas, they will naturally be dealt with later. Anyway, all these Union ninjas must be dealt with in one go. This is more than 3,000 combat power. For a village, it can be said to be traumatic. The last time Orochimaru teamed up with Sand Ninja to collapse Konoha's plan, Konoha's loss was not so big. It's not the time to be happy yet, don't underestimate your opponent. Tsunade said with a serious face, the next thing is a fierce battle. It is gratifying to see the effect of Shankyun entered, but after that, I am afraid that it will be a group of Union ninjas who are fighting to the death and resisting desperately. An LTA. In the canyon, a mess. A full 10 minutes passed before all the disasters finally subsided. After the smoke and dust slowly dissipated, everyone on the cliff cast their gazes. I saw that in the mudslide. I don't know how many people were buried, but there were also many people with better luck who escaped. There are more than 3,000 Union ninjas. At first glance, there are about 2,000, and they maintain their mobility. But the formation has dissipated, and they are busy rescuing nearby companions, looking very miserable and embarrassed. Tsunade took a deep breath and said coldly, do it. Just as she finished speaking, a flash of lightning flashed at this moment. There was a loud bang from the blocked entrance, and the next moment, a burly body, a man wearing a raikage costume, was already standing in the center of the battlefield. What? Nara Shikahisa was taken aback. Fourth raikage. Why is he here? Isn't he in the village? Rai Ying's face was extremely ugly, and it was hard to see that there was no expression at all. Is it too late? His voice was like Juyu, extremely cold. Konoha very good, you guys did a great job. He suddenly raised his head, looked over the cliff, and saw Tsunade. No one of the Thousand Hand family is really good. Tsunade, you made me look up to you. Lei Ying flashed lightning all over his body and spoke words of admiration, but his killing intent was not concealed. In this regard, Tsunade looked calm and said, since you are here, let's completely solve this farce and take you prisoner. At what price will Yun Yin sign an armistice agreement? Philo reminds you, there are 3 things in reading: collection, recommendation and sharing. Do Junhu. Original works of Philo Novel Network, and enjoy the joy of reading. Chapter 0887-10,000 miles Sky Palm. After capturing Raikage, he was also satisfied with the compensation for battle damage. And through this battle, it can also deter other major powers, so that others will not dare to re-offend easily, and Konoha will usher in a period of peace. Of course, the premise of all this is that the 4 generations of Raikage can be subdued here. HMPH, what a shame. The 4th Raikage snorted coldly, glanced at the other person beside Tsunade, and suddenly his pupils shrank. Senju Tobarama. I had known about the resurrection of Senju Tobarama through Aizen before, but when I actually saw it, I couldn't help but be startled. The name of the 2nd generation of Hokage, he is like thunder. He has been hearing about it since he was a child, and he is a figure at the pinnacle of ninjas. Looking at your tone, I seem to know in advance. Chinsho Tobarama was a little puzzled. Apart from Chinyang and the 1st generation who knew about his resurrection, only Tsunade and a group of Junin beside him knew about it. How did Lei Ying know about it? To this, Lei Ying naturally wouldn't answer, and he didn't dare to leak Aizen's information at will. So he secretly said in his heart, I'm 1 against 2, I'm not an opponent at all, and the others have suffered heavy losses, and now I have to give priority to retreat. Thinking of this, he glanced at the situation around him, and suddenly became more angry. More than 3,000 cloud-hidden ninjas died in the First World War, and many people's bodies were incomplete, or they were directly buried underground, and some were killed by boulders. Since Senju Tobarama is really resurrected, then Tsunade holds the power of mass resurrection. Is it true? What the hell is going on? The 4th generation of Raking felt agitated, and immediately said, you guys retreat first, the blocked entrance has been broken by me, hurry up, I will hold them back. Lord Raikage. Don't talk nonsense, let's go. Raikage groaned. Seeing this, Tsunade's eyes flashed, he immediately said, chase, don't let them escape. 7. The more than 1,000 Konoha ninjas in the cave below immediately reacted and started to act quickly. At the same time, Tsunade jumped down, jumped directly from the 100-meter cliff, and came to the front of Reikage. Let's ask, why did you choose to invade Konoha at this time? Of course it was forced. However, I can't say that completely. The fourth generation of Reikage is indeed very weak in holding Konoha. Now is a good opportunity to think of the second generation, but it has come to this point. There's no need for nonsense. The fourth Reikage took a deep breath, lightning flashing all over his body. Lei Dun Chakra Mode Lei Dun's armor. Puff. Suddenly, the chakra of the thunder attribute was like a coat, covering the whole body, and electric lights wandered and flickered. Whoosh. I saw a flash of lightning, and Reikage instantly burst into an unbelievable speed, and launched an assault on Tsunade. Shen Furious Thunder Axe. He gathered chakra on his right foot, and from top to bottom, like a giant axe, he slashed down. Seeing this, Tsunade's pupils shrank, and immediately raised his arms and raised his head. Boom! In the loud noise, Tsunade's arms were fractured in response to the sound, and they were directly bent and twisted. The ground under his feet was even more cracked and spread all at once. Tsunade groaned, her face flushed with blood. She knew that she was a little embarrassed, and immediately took advantage of her strength to withdraw. You are a medical ninja, how could you be my opponent? Reikage said coldly. Don't underestimate the medical ninja. Tsunade gritted his teeth, jade beads flashing purple light appeared between his eyebrows, and the next moment, the pattern of the curse mark spread rapidly, covering the entire face and neck. Ninja creation and regeneration hundreds of heroes. This is the performance of the ninja technique after unlocking the Yin seal, storing a large amount of chakra in it, and starting from top to bottom, quickly heal the whole body injuries. I saw the arms that were broken by Reikage's kick, and in a flash, they were restored to their original state. What? For Reikage frowned, and this kind of medical ninjutsu. Instant recovery of the injury, even the broken arm can be easily restored, ordinary medical ninjutsu, but there is no such effect. Tsunade obviously had no interest in explaining it to her. He made a mark on his hands and sighed in a low voice, the art of psychic. With a bang, the white fog flashed past, and a huge slug suddenly appeared. Master Tsunade. Slug is huge, comparable to the giant snake of Orochimaru, and its appearance is like a slug, but the voice is a gentle female voice. You split to protect the others. Tsunade ordered in a low voice, I will hold back Reikage, and today I must leave all Yunyin's ninjas behind and end this war completely. Yes, Tsunade-sama. As he was talking, Chinsho Tobarama also jumped down from the cliff and came to Tsunade's side. Are you all right? The side effects of this ninjutsu are not small. Second Grandpa, what Reikage is best at is speed, and the ninja fighting technique that matches this speed. Please leave it to me, you can solve Union's ninja. Tsunade said decisively. I know, but don't force it. Senju Tobarama didn't say much, and immediately started action. First deal with more than 2,000 cloud-hidden ninjas, and then he will work with Tsunade to deal with Reikage. However, the fourth generation of Reikage also knew their plans. They just wanted to catch them all at once. After all, as long as those ninjas did not evacuate, he would not evacuate. Tsunade just had to hold him back. Second Hokage Senju Tobarama, I don't know why you can be resurrected, and why Tsunade can master the resurrection technique, but today, don't think about keeping my people. Between the words, he stretched out his right hand, put his fingers together, placed it across his chest, and began to sing in his mouth. Go to hell, all of you, the 99th of the broken way, the 5 dragons will be destroyed. Boom. The spiritual pressure rises into the sky. This is not Reikage's own Reikage, but the power given to him by Aizen. This huge spiritual pressure formed a highly concentrated spiritual cloud in the sky. Among the clouds, 5 dragons of spiritual pressure suddenly stuck their heads out. Rumble. Thunder bursts, and after the thunder, another dragon roar resounds. Seeing this scene, Chinsho Tobarama's complexion changed greatly. What kind of forbearance 0.1 is this? Even the soul is trembling. this guy wants to kill everyone with one move. In the roar, the 5 dragons have begun to descend. However, what shocked Raikage was that the 5 dragons even attacked him. Damn, Aizen, you, lie to me. He shouted, and then quickly retreated without thinking. At the same time, Union Village, the top of a high mountain. In front of the wooden house, Aizen looked into the distance and said with a chuckle, I didn't lie, it's you who didn't finish listening. After a pause, he shook his head again. Forget it, I can't let him die like this now. As soon as the voice fell, he slapped it out. 10,000 miles heavenly palm. Boom. In an instant, a huge palm, spanning thousands of miles, was projected towards the battlefield of Konoha and Union. Chapter 0888-wipe off the map. The palm spans thousands of miles and is projected towards Yi's battlefield. This is the inner ghost way, which is much stronger than the ghost way in the general sense. Not only that, but the normal move is only the palm of 1,000 miles, but with the use of 6-star blue dye, the power of the move goes even further. At this moment, the big hand of this spirit straddled the country of thunder, flew over the 2 small countries, and finally entered the territory of the country of fire. This is also the 6-star blue dye, the general illusion, there is really no way to project the power to such a far place. And at this moment, the 5 dragons that Raikage used to turn around have begun to explode. The 5-headed spiritual pressure dragon rushed out from Lingxi Yunkong, roared, and fell towards the canyon below. They didn't deliberately lock on any one target, and for them, everything below was the object that needed to be destroyed. Not good. This kind of ninjutsu I have never seen it before. The face of the 2nd-generation Hokage Chisho Hasuma changed greatly, and he didn't have time to think too much. He went directly to Tsunade, grabbed the opponent, and launched Space Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God's Jutsu. Wait, second grandpa. Tsunade was shocked, and there were more than 1,000 Konoha ninjas around. It's too late. Shinsho Tobarama shook his head, and under Tsunade's sad expression, the 2 shuttled through space and disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the same time, Lei Ying is also escaping frantically. His speed is indeed very fast, and he can cross a distance of 100 meters in an instant, but under the power of the 5 dragons, he cannot escape at all. He has scolded Aizen over and over again in his heart now, and the 18th generation of his ancestors greeted him, saying that there was no side effect, but as a result, this ghostly way is not under his control at all, and even his own people will be destroyed together. Damn, damn, damn. Raikage was furious and his speed was getting faster and faster. Phew. As for Union Ninja, he can't protect himself, of course he can't control it. Bing. Seeing that the sky was dyed a pale color, the dazzling spiritual pressure dragon fell to the ground. At the moment when everything erupted, an incomparably huge hand, like a giant in the sky, came out of the sky, directly past the 5 spiritual pressure dragons, rolled up Lei Ying, and then quickly withdrew. While withdrawing, he also carried away the stunned Union Ninja. All this happened in a flash of lightning, from the 4th Raikage using the 5 dragons to destroy it, to the arrival of the 10,000 miles Tongtian palm breaking through the sky. It took only 5 or 6 seconds before and after. Raikage only felt a flash in front of his eyes, and then his vision was filled with white fog. The next moment, the 5 dragons fell completely. Boom boom boom. Earthquakes trembled, cliffs shattered, and this Grand Canyon shattered in an instant under the power of the 5 dragons. Immediately afterwards, the 5 dragons that landed broke out completely. The power of this ghost path is more about changing the terrain than its lethality, breaking the earth, and upside-down mountains, all with ease. In a burst of loud roars, this place was flooded with spiritual pressure. It was as if a natural disaster had come, and all living beings were being wiped out. And when everything dissipated, the mountains and canyons that once existed here were gone, replaced by a flat land. In a radius of dozens of miles, everything was erased, as if it had disappeared from the map. If someone can overlook it from a height of several thousand meters, they will be shocked to discover that there is this orange-yellow patch on top of the mountains and rivers, where there used to be green mountains and forests. And so, it's just a dead place. Chinsho Tobarama and Tsunade appeared again. As soon as the two returned, they were completely shocked by the scene in front of them. The terrain has been greatly changed. If the coordinates are not wrong, Chinsho Tobarama doubts whether the position of the transfer has changed. What a terrifying power, Chinsho Tobarama murmured softly. How could the fourth Reikage have this kind of ninjutsu? If this broke out in the village, I am afraid that the whole village will disappear completely. Tsunade's face was sluggish. He opened his mouth, and seemed to look around, but no one was there. All dead. Nara Shikahisa, Sarutobi Asma, Hyuga Hazu, Hyuga Neji, Sunset Red, Yamanaka Kaiichi dead, all dead, more than 1,000 elite Konoha. Not to mention them, even the shadow level, under the previous power, is no different from mortals. If it wasn't for Chinsho Tobarama's technique of Flying Thunder God, I'm afraid she would have hatred too. Seeing this, Tobarama Chinsho was also very uncomfortable. He patted Tsunade on the shoulder and said, "You still have the phoenix feather, they can be resurrected." "I know." Tsunade looked sad. "It's just. I don't know what happened to Yunyin with that kind of power that perishes together. Is Reikage crazy? Or is he sure he can escape?" Chinsho Tobarama changed the subject and couldn't help frowning at the same time. "I always feel that this is not his own strength. Anyway, let's look first. Maybe there are survivors." There are naturally no survivors. Even the terrain has been changed. How could people still be alive? After all, no one could have mastered space ninjutsu at that time. On the other hand, Yunyin's side, almost all of them were kept, thanks to Aizen's 10,000 miles heavenly palm, which moved the group of people 100 miles away at a critical moment. At this moment, on the border of the Fire Nation, a group of people woke up slowly, and soon, everyone in 973 found that Rai Ying was staring blankly into the distance. "Lord Reikage, you saved us." Dao Ti. Konoha is so abominable, to actually set up such a trap. It's really thanks to Reikage-sama this time. A group of people have a feeling of the rest of their lives, and they all pay their respects to Reiying. However, Reikage himself was also shocked by the power of the 5 dragons to be destroyed. 100 miles away, he could see the huge disaster happening. Is this the power of number 90 or above to break the road? This is not human at all, not even a tailed beast. He sighed inwardly. The huge palm before, should be the power of Aizen. He saved me. Who is this? The purpose is really just a ninjutsu scroll. With this kind of power, there is no way to snatch me directly. Resist. Shaking his head, he threw away his complicated thoughts, and after preparing to go back, he would have a good talk with Aizen. Thinking of this, he turned to look at the awakened people, and said, "The elite of Konoha has been wiped out, but they have the power to resurrect. For the time being, they will pull back and leave a few teams to stay." On the other side, in Union Village, Aizen withdrew his gaze, and walked back into the wooden house with a chuckle. Having tasted this kind of power, I'm afraid Reikage will be even more crazy next. He. After a short period of calm, the real battle will begin. The Land of Water should also speed up its progress. Quote. Chapter-881-900 Shadow Visit. After learning that each other has superpower, whether it is Konoha or Yunyin, they will need the power of Phoenix Feather and Death God more and more. Of course, the war is not over, it's just Yunyin's temptation, and it's temporary. At the same time as the war between the two sides, in the territory of Taki no Orochimaru's action to capture the 9 tails also ended in failure. Matekai's 8 inner gates caused him a lot of trouble and took some of his energy. At the same time, Kakashi awakened Naruto Uzumaki's self in the consciousness space. Together, the two finally activated the seal left by the 4th Hokage and suppressed the power of the 9 tails. After that, it was Matekai, Kakashi, and Naruto Uzumaki who joined forces to deal with Orochimaru, plus the wooden ninja armor on the side. Rao was Orochimaru, who had outstanding combat power and knew that it would be difficult for him to succeed, so he had to retreat. HMPH, the matter has come to this point. It seems that we can only let you go for a while. Orochimaru recovered his human form from the technique of Yaki, and said with a sneer, "Hey, you have to be careful with Sasuke Uchiha. I hope you can bring Ren Zuli back to Konoha safely." "What?" Hatake Kakashi frowned. "Where is Sasuke?" "Who knows, you have no idea what's going on, it's just advice." Orochimaru licked his tongue, but he was looking forward to Sasuke Uchiha's actions. However, what he didn't know was that Sasuke Uchiha encountered Shinsho Tobirama and was beaten with suspicion. "Kakashi, a foreigner, you are indeed very talented if you can use the Sharingan for this purpose. It's just that by using pupil power one after another, how much light is left in your eyes?" Leaving a sullen laughter, Orochimaru's body slowly turned into a pool of sludge and rotting. "Goodbye, everyone from Konoha. Next time we meet, you won't be so lucky, nine-tailed brat." Quote. The voice faded, and his figure disappeared completely. Seeing this, Kakashi's tense nerves relaxed, he covered his eyes, and fell to his knees directly. "Kakashi-sensei. I'm fine, Naruto," Kakashi said in a deep voice. "The top priority is to bring you back to the village as soon as possible. It's not appropriate to stay here for a long time, let's go." While returning, Kakashi couldn't help thinking of what Itachi said to him yesterday. "Lin, can I really see you again? And Obito, if you didn't die, where are you now, and what are you doing?" Itachi Phantom reached an agreement with him that as long as Kakashi transcribes the 1,000 kinds of ninjutsu he copied, he can revive the two Kakashi expects. These two are Rin, Hatake Shiroya. Time flies, and it will be 2 days later. After 3 or 4 days of stripping the tailed beasts, the 4 tails and the 5 tails finally completed the seal. In the cave where Shao organized the rally, as the last trace of the tailed beast chakra was swallowed by the golem, the people standing on their 10 fingers breathed a sigh of relief. "I'm so tired. Do you have to be so tired every time?" Feijuan twisted his stiff neck. "It's really terrible. Is there a faster way? I'm very busy, and I have to worship the evil gods." Hearing this, Pain dismissed the spell lightly and said, "Next, the hunt for the tailed beast will continue. Feijuan, Engel, you are in charge of Yunyun's tailed cat. You'd better move faster." Huh, the Engel obviously heard something wrong, and couldn't help asking, "What happened?" "Union and Konoha started a war. The initial trial has been completed, and both sides will suffer." The person who speaks is absolutely, even if he is stripping the tailed beast, he has the ability to clone to listen to information and pay attention to the important events of the ninja world. A Grand Canyon on the border of the country of fire has been wiped out, and my clone is dead. He was not far away at the time, and was affected by the destruction of the 5 dragons. Fortunately, before he died, he passed the information back to Q. Now that Union's elite troops have not returned to China, you are moving faster. Pain said, "As for Ju and Afe, you are in charge of Mio Iso, which is a tailed beast with no human strength. You have also investigated the exact location. No problem. Afe is wearing a mask, and the one here is not the body, but the slide body. Finally, I can show my strength. As a newcomer and a senior, I need more advice." "Pain, where did you find the treasure?" Deidara's eyes twitched. "Is this guy really okay?" "Oh, Senior Deidara, don't look at me like this, I'm very strong," the masked man Fei said. Pain obviously ignored it, and continued, "As for the 6-tailed thunder beast, Deidara, you and Scorpion are responsible for the capture. And the 7-tailed raccoon dog, in Taki Ninja Village, Oni Shark, Itachi, you go." "Where are the 8 and 9 tails?" the dried persimmon ghost shark asked. "I'm in charge myself. Fire Country, Konoha Village." After a few days of traveling, Terumi May and her party finally arrived at Konoha. Tsunade received them solemnly. After all, it was an official visit, but the etiquette could not be lost. Approaching the village of Konoha, Terumi-Mae couldn't help being secretly shocked. Some time ago, Konoha was collapsed by Orochimaru's actions. It has only been more than half a month, and it has already been rebuilt. I admire your infrastructure capabilities. Terumi-Mae said with a smile. I believe Konoha will rise again under the leadership of the 5 generations of Hokage. For such insincere words, Tsunade obviously had no interest in continuing, but said bluntly, Mizukage visited our Konoha, just in time to exchange the feelings of the 2 countries. There is no conflict of interest between our 2 countries, and there is the possibility of cooperation. Is less than or equal to. Oh, cooperation. Terumi-Mae raised an eyebrow. Cooperation is a ghost. Someone forced me to attack Konoha. How can it be impossible to cooperate? Thinking of this, she said again, Isho. On the way here, I heard that Union undeclared war against you, Konoha. I'm really sorry to visit at this time. This is over. Tsunade sneered and said, just in time, there is a ceremony to be held today. Might as well come to watch the ceremony as well. Ritual, Terumi-Mae thought. Rite of rebirth. Tsunade said lightly. In the First World War, our Konoha died thousands of elites. They gave their lives for Konoha, and today, as Hokage, I will call their souls back from the kingdom of heaven. What? Terumi-Mae's delicate body was shocked, and her face changed a bit. In response, Tsunade pouted secretly. Of course she knew what Terumi-Mae was paying attention to. She deliberately postponed the resurrection ceremony until now, just to give the other party a slap in the face. Terumi-Mae smiled reluctantly, then I'll look forward to it. Chapter 0890 The Gaff Terumi-Mae. Except for Mizukage, there are Sand Shinobi. The operation to rescue Gaara failed, and Sand Ninja knew that Gaara was dead. This is a major blow to the Land of Wind, but Konoha put forward conditions at this time to resurrect Gaara, at the cost of an alliance between the 2 countries to advance and retreat together. Of course, to say that it is to advance and retreat together, in fact, it is to let Sand Ninja help Konoha to fight Union. At this moment, in the center of a large square in Konoha village, there are many wooden coffins, the number of which is as many as 1045, all of which are ninjas who died in the First World War. However, there are no corpses in many wooden coffins, only the utensils these ninjas carried during their lifetimes. This is the condition for the resurrection of the phoenix feather. There must be fragments of the soul. These tools have always been things that these ninjas once held. For a long time, they have naturally been contaminated with a trace of soul. Of course, this is also thanks to the fact that Raikage chose number 99, the 5 dragons to be destroyed. If the original world collapsed, those Konoha ninjas who died in 747 would not even have a chance to be resurrected, and their souls would not go to heaven at all, but is directly erased. It's almost time. Mute stood by Tsunade's side and said softly, Lord Tsunade. Hearing this, Tsunade looked at the second Hokage sitting behind him, Senju Tobarama. Shinsho Tobarama nodded, and then glanced at Danzo 3 high-level Konoha. To be honest, Danzo is very unhappy right now. Originally, he wanted Tsunade to act as Hokage. When the time came, he could take over the power. I didn't expect Tsunade to be so capable. Konoha was in her hands, and his blood was restored all of a sudden. Not only that, even Shinsho Tobarama has survived, which makes him have no hope of how to seize power. Especially the resurrection technique. Although it is beneficial to Konoha, Danzo wants to destroy this ceremony in his heart, so as to attack Tsunade's rule. Of course, also think about. I saw Tsunade walking off the high platform and came to the front of the wooden coffin in the eyes of many fanatics. 7. What war brings is by no means happiness, but many times, war is inevitable. We are not afraid of war. All enemies who dare to attack Konoha will be the targets of our elimination. This is a ceremony to console the heroes, who guard Konoha with their iron and blood, and inherit the will of fire. This is the ceremony of resurrecting heroes. Their souls in heaven will surely return to earth to be reunited with their families. Tsunade gave a brief speech, then took out a phoenix feather and slowly threw it at the many wooden coffins. Master of Life, please use the light of mercy to save these heroes. Death is not their destination, home is. The group is resurrected. The falling phoenix feather landed on a gaze, and the next moment, a colorful red light shot up into the sky. Like auspicious clouds, it dyed the entire sky, like a miracle. It was the first time that Sha Ren, Sui Ying and others had seen them. Although they had already known some information before, they were inevitably shocked by what they saw with their own eyes. Can it really be resurrected? Chojuro murmured, why is there such power in the world? Changjuro, don't be shaken. Mizukage whispered, this is what Konoha made for us, how exactly? It's not easy for her to say, it can't be fake, illusion, in full view, Konoha doesn't have the ability to fake. In contrast, Sand Ninja was much more excited. There are only 5 or 6 Sand Ninjas here. In addition to the 2 Shang Ninjas, there are Kankuro and Tamari siblings. Of course, the most important thing is that there is also an old lady. Mother-in-law Chio, Gaara is saved. Kankuro said a little excitedly. Konoha promised to help us, so he probably won't break his promise. Chio stared blankly at the scene in front of him. Gaara did not find the body, but in the wooden coffin in the square, there are tools that Gaara had used. If the mass resurrection is true, then you can see him later. He. Suddenly, a low laugh came. However, no one could hear the laughter. I don't know when, in the center of the square, a person has appeared. That person was Chin Young. It's him. Terumi Mei's expression changed slightly, and she was the first to discover Chin Yang's existence. As if sensing her gaze, Chin Yang responded with a smile. The next moment, Terumi Mei felt that the power of thunder in her body exploded, the whole body was numb, and her face was flushed. Damn, it happened again. Terumi Mei unwittingly tightened her legs, feeling like countless ants were biting and crawling away on her body. This guy, she gritted her teeth and glared fiercely. Aware of her mutation, Changjuro showed a look of doubt, and followed his gaze, but couldn't see anyone. At this time, above the sky, the accumulated colorful lights erupted in unison. Like the 9 heavens immortal curtain, the colorful light falling down swayed on the left and right wooden coffins. Immediately afterwards, a breath of life filled the entire space, and souls from heaven descended into the wooden coffin one after another. Tsunade's expression suddenly changed. What's going on? I saw that those souls, in the wooden coffin, seemed unable to find their own bodies, and seemed at a loss. A feather can resurrect 100,000 people, the premise is the existence of corpses, but these people don't even have corpses. Shan Qinyang whispered to himself and walked towards Terumi Mei. Are you not strong enough? Tsunade realized something, and could probably guess what was going on. As soon as she gritted her teeth, she took out another phoenix feather and threw it. Reshape your body. The colorful light suddenly doubled, and a mighty force of life was thrown into many wooden coffins. A body of flesh and blood, like a baby born, was born from nothingness, and those wandering souls also found their embrace and poured in one after another. Soon, a wooden coffin shook, and a ninja climbed out of it. I was resurrected. Narashikahisa stared at himself in a daze, and then discovered the surrounding situation. More and more people returned from the kingdom of heaven and walked out of the wooden coffin one by one. This scene shocked everyone. Terumi Mei too, she couldn't help but open her mouth. I gave you advice, and you have disappointed me. Qinyang walked up to her and said softly, how should I punish you? Hearing this, Terumi Mei's expression changed slightly. Wait, She gasped for breath, her whole body twisted into a ball, and her face was embarrassed. Chapter-881-900 between the two countries. Terumi Mei clutched her heart and legs, her whole body flushed red, and there was even a razor wandering in her body, causing a little bit of tingling. She was embarrassed and stared at the man in front of her. Qinyang was very calm. How do you feel? Are you uncomfortable? It's really not a man to use such abusive methods. Teru-Mei was very annoyed. Really, I gave you advice early in the morning, but your actions were too slow, which disappointed me. Qinyang said calmly, this is just a punishment for you, my patience is limited. You let our country of water attack Konoha, what's the difference between that and courting death? Teru-Mei gritted her teeth and said, Konoha has the power to revive, and if you fight, it will only sacrifice Kirigaku's ninja in vain, and Konoha will die. But can keep resurrecting. Quote. The two were talking, but the people around them couldn't hear them, and they couldn't even perceive Qinyang's existence. Teru-Mei also discovered this, and became more and more apprehensive. You didn't fully understand the power I gave you, so what if you could be resurrected? How do you know what price you have to pay behind this resurrection technique? Qinyang shook his head and said, don't let me down again, otherwise, I'll have to change to an obedient Shuiying. Then, look forward to your future performance. As he said that, he turned and left, and between steps, he sneaked into the space and disappeared without a trace. It's arrogant. Teru-Mei looked at Qinyang's back, annoyed, but there was nothing he could do. With the strength shown by the other party, she is not at all capable of resisting. Lord Mizukage, a Junin asked from the side. Teru-Mei also noticed the gaze around her, and her face flushed immediately, I'm fine. No matter how you look at it, I don't want to look like it's okay, but Chenjiro knows something, it's probably a dark disease attack. Fortunately, everyone is now attracted by the resurrection of the group, and after seeing that there is nothing unusual about Teru-Mei, they no longer pay attention. Only Chinsho Tobarama showed doubts. There was an abnormality in the space just now. He mastered the space-time ninjutsu, and he could feel a trace, but that's all, more, you can only guess. In the center of the square, more and more ninjas came out of the wooden coffins, and their souls returned, reshaped their bodies, and came to life. Really resurrected? Hyuga Neji looked at his hands, secretly shocked. Not only is it resurrected, but the dark wounds left by the previous training transition have also been repaired. This body is my peak state. The old woman of the land of wind, Chio stared at a wooden coffin on the flank, which was Gaara's wooden coffin, but until now, there is still no movement. Kankuro looked dazed. Everyone else is alive, is it Gaara? No, Tamari said nervously, Gaara, he will definitely come back to life. Seemingly feeling this kind of wish, the wooden coffin Vivi was shocked, and suddenly his arms stretched out from the inside. Then, a red-haired boy with a gloomy temperament slowly stood up. I love Luo, Kankuro shouted with great joy. Kankuro. Gaara glanced at him, looked around again, and then checked his body. Remember that I died and was pulled away from the tailed beast. After his inspection, his complexion changed drastically. The tailed beast sealed in the body has completely disappeared. Not only that, but the seal is no longer there. At this time, everyone has been reborn. Tsunade heaved a sigh of relief, but still maintained a dignified expression on his face, and said, Hero of Konoha, welcome home. Master Tsunade. In one piece, these reborn ninjas knelt down on one knee in excitement. No deception, Tsunade can really revive them. As long as there is Master Tsunade in one day, Konoha will never weaken, and even rise, truly become the first of the 5 kingdoms. It's such a miraculous power. The old woman Chio sighed. When I learned the news of Gaara's death, I had already prepared to use the forbidden technique, reincarnation of oneself, but I didn't expect Tsunade, this little girl, it was a surprise. Quote. Saying that, she stood up slowly. Tamari, you and Kankuro go to take care of Gaara. Next, I will have a good talk with Hokage about the alliance. At this moment, while Konoha held a grand resurrection ceremony, near the east gate, a young man in a black robe was staring coldly at the vision in front of him. Resurrection. Uchiha Sasuke narrowed his eyes. As long as there is such a power, Konoha cannot be completely destroyed, and there is no way to keep up with revenge. This must be solved first. The key figure in the resurrection technique is Tsunade, and Sasuke Uchiha felt that he had to find an opportunity to assassinate Hokage. However, Chinsho Tobarama was also in the village, and he couldn't do it for a while, so that man brought him a little pressure. So, I need teammates. One person is not strong enough, so I have to find several partners. Junmalu is a candidate. In addition, Orochimaru has also revealed some news to him. HMPH, wait for me to come back, Konoha. With a cold snort, Sasuke Uchiha turned and left. At the same time, in front of a ramen restaurant near the East Gate. Is greater than or equal to. Haruno Sakura glanced into the distance, and then looked back sadly. Sakura, isn't ramen delicious? Uzumaki Naruto asked. No, it's just where did Sasuke go? Haruno Sakura was depressed. On the day of the Chunin exam finals, Sasuke disappeared with you and Sasuke's Gaara, and the two of you were taken away by the Akatsuki organization. What's the matter with him? Seeing this, Naruto Uzumaki's smile froze, and then he said solemnly, don't worry, I will definitely get him back. I will become stronger and protect everyone. Naruto. Haruno Sakura was very moved, then rolled her eyes helplessly. I'm going to master Tsunade to learn medical ninjutsu, you have to work hard. Oh. Watching Haruno Sakura leave, Naruto Uzumaki let out a long sigh, but he was also in a low mood. At this time, a ninja suddenly arrived. Uzumaki Naruto. You are. I'm Ebisu, and I'm especially joinin'. The man wearing sunglasses said, Master Tsunade is looking for you, come with me. What's the matter? Naruto Uzumaki asked suspiciously. Tsunade, he didn't know him before, but after being brought back by Kakashi, he had already met once, and knew that the other party was a ninja of the same generation as Mr. Jiraiya. Of course, he was now the 5th Hokage. The person who was arrested with you, Zuli, has been resurrected, and he wants to meet. Ebisu hesitated for a while before saying, you have to be more prudent later, it is about the alliance between the two countries. Chapter 0892-2 packages. This is a good way to say it, but it's hard to say that the country of wind needs to dispatch troops to form a coalition with Konoha to face the country of thunder together. The alliance of these two countries, our country of water is not an opponent. Terumi Mei was placed in a guest room and was in a very unhappy mood, but if I don't act, that man will trouble me again. It seems that I have to talk to Reikage. Reikage must have more headaches than her, and Terumi Mei would not mind joining forces with Union if necessary. The problem is, even if they join forces, they may not be able to take Konoha. The other party has the resurrection technique. The longer the war, the greater the advantage for Konoha. I just don't know the price of the resurrection technique. Listening to what the man said, it seems that Tsunade has to pay an unimaginable price, and must not be able to use it indefinitely. Terumi Mei had a headache. On the one hand, she didn't want to hit Konoha, and on the other hand, she was forced to do nothing. Anyway, let's try to contact Reikage first. At the same time that Terumi Mei was having a great headache, the 4th Reikage also came to the cliff wooden house with a very headache. There were 3 others, 2 men and 1 woman. The woman is called Yukido, two-tailed Zuli, with a calm personality, can completely liberate and control the tailed beast, and like the 8-tailed Zuliki rabbi, has won the recognition of the whole village. The other 2 men, Kurabi and Darui, both have elite shinobi level strength, especially the 8-tailed man Zuli. After the tailed beast transformation, the strength can be said to have completely reached the shadow level. Lord Reikage, at this moment, the 2-tailed people Zuli couldn't help saying, as the person who lives here the one who saved us that day. That's right, that huge palm is probably his power. Lei Ying nodded and said, even I use the power of 5 dragons to destroy Q, to raise the Grand Canyon to the ground in one breath. Also his 7. How can such a dangerous person help us? Darui said with a pair of dead fish eyes, with a little doubt, what is his purpose? Yo, I don't think you should provoke him, that guy is horrible. Stupid bastard. Kurabi shook his head like a wave and rapped. Be quiet and come with me. 4 generations of Rakage took a deep breath, brought the 3 of them to the wooden house, and said respectfully, Lord Aizen. After the battle at the Grand Canyon, he was completely convinced. The inhuman power far exceeded his understanding, so at this moment, he was a lot more respectful. With a creak, a figure walked out. Juyi looked at him with a half-smile but not a smile. I haven't seen you for a few days, but Lei Ying has learned a lot. Gee, 9 masters. The 4th generation of Lei Ying twitched. I want to see Aizen-sama. What's the matter? Say it directly. Juya didn't bother to talk nonsense with him. Hearing this, the 4th Rakage pondered for a moment, and had to say, this is the 2-tailed man Zuli, Yumu Ren. He is Darui, my right and left hand. As for Kurabi, you know, the strength of the 3 they are all outstanding, and I would like to ask Aizen-sama to help them activate the power of death. He. Juyi smiled, it seems that you fully understood the Battle of the Grand Canyon. Understand what? Darui raised his eyebrows. To be honest, he was also present at the time and almost died under the power of the 5 dragons destroyed. He had some understanding of Juyi's words. No matter how many miscellaneous fish there are, it is meaningless. High-end combat power is the key to determining the outcome. Juya said eloquently, why are you more than 3,000 elites who can't win Konoha? It's very simple. No decisive force. You're right. So, Rakage asked. No problem, as long as you pay the price, let alone 3 people, even 300 people. Juyi smiled and said, Master Aizen expected you to come, so I prepared a set meal in advance, you can see for yourself. Saying that, he handed out a scroll. The 4th Rakage took it and looked at it carefully. Package 1. Elite Josen Right Pointing Arrow Shadow Level. Reaper Inspiration, 100 scrolls. Zanpakuto Grants, 100 scrolls. Shikai, 100 reels. Bankai, 300 reels. 80 and above, you can choose 3 types, 200 reels. After the enhancement of this package, a single Jonin can leap to the combat power above the shadow level in one fell swoop. Package price, 799 reels. This, 4th Rakage was stunned, what is this? Package, discount, Juya said calmly, if you buy 3 copies at one go, you can get a 10% discount. Discount a hammer, only 1 reel is cheaper. What do I mean by Zanpakuto, Shikai, Bankai? Rakage said solemnly. You won't know if you buy it and try it out. Juya spread his hands, explaining it, based on your knowledge, you can't understand it at all, it's better to see it with your own eyes. Don't worry, we are doing business, and the old man is innocent. Lei Ying's mouth twitched, and he looked down again. Package 2. Ninja Right Pointing Arrow-Tailed Beast Level Combat Power. Is greater than or equal to Inspire Void Power, 100 scrolls. Void Flash, 100 scrolls. Great Void Level Up, 300 scrolls. Defacement, 300 scrolls. After the strengthening of this package, a potential ninja, whether it is lower or upper, can reach the level of the tailed beast. Special price, 799. You can't buy at a loss, you can't be fooled. 799, bring home the power of the tailed beast. This is it again. Rakage was a little stunned. Literally. Juya grinned Isho and said, however, the strengthening of the second package is a little dangerous, but after success, it will be stronger than the first package. Raing's face was cloudy. At this time, the wooden man opened his mouth and said, Raking, is this true? This, it should be true, there is no need for them to lie to me in such a place. Then I'll come first. Yumu said in a low voice, whether it's dangerous or not, I'll be the first to try. Oh. Juya raised his eyebrows, but looked at the woman high, and said, which package do you choose? You said just now that if package 2 is successful, it will be stronger than package 1. Yes, the premise is that you can survive successfully. If you fail, you have to pay 100 scrolls to save your life. Of course, if you want to die, I can also give you a ride. Juyi said casually. Whether it's virtual, or the level of the big virtual, or the face is broken, there is a high chance of failure, but it's okay to fail. I'm afraid of running away and losing my mind. Strength, to save people, of course, to charge additional fees. I see. Yumu Man's eyes flashed and he gritted his teeth. I choose package 2. Quote. Chapter 0893_Naruto Worlds. Seeing this, the fourth Reikage took out the ninjutsu scroll at the bottom of the box. 800 scrolls, buy package 2. To be honest, when he came here today, he had already prepared 2,000 ninjutsu scrolls, almost emptying Union Village. If you want more after that, I'm afraid you have to go outside to find it. Juya counted 800 scrolls, and there were many repetitions, and only less than 600 could be used. However, he had just cheated on Lei Ying, so he didn't care too much. Anyway, by now, the number of scrolls they have collected has already exceeded 2,000. Very well, you come with me, and the rest are waiting outside. Juya put away his things and motioned for the wooden man to follow him to the wooden house. 4 generations of Reikage looked at each other and had to wait patiently. Inside the house, Yuki couldn't help but feel a little nervous. She saw Aizen sitting in the house, drinking black tea. I have to say that Aizen's appearance is still very good, and a mature atmosphere is quite attractive to women like Yukito. Package 2. Lan Ran took a sip of tea and looked up at the other party. Yes. Then you can prepare yourself mentally. Aizen smiled, got up and walked in front of the woman. The power of the god of death is the power of the soul, and it is relatively simple to stimulate it. But what you choose is the power of emptiness, the opposite of the god of death. At the beginning it will become monster. Anyway, let's change to an open place first. So far away. Between the words, Aizen's right hand moved, and the space in the room suddenly stretched infinitely. 7. It seems that there is only a small house of more than 20 square meters, but at the moment, it is like being in the middle of a huge square. This is... Yumu Ren was surprised. Juya grinned Isho and said, Ghost Dao is divided into Broken Dao and Bound Dao. This is a high-level Bound Dao, which extends the space. If it is used on the target and the caster can never be in contact. It is an exaggeration to say that you will never be able to touch. As long as you are proficient in the power of space, it is still easy to crack. Yukito was completely speechless. It started. Aizen stretched out his hand, and after spreading it out, the palm showed a perfect collapsing jade. Benyu exudes a faint color, absorbing the wishes of those around it. Boom, boom. The wooden man could clearly hear that his heartbeat was gradually becoming violent and heavy. Suddenly, at a certain moment, a tear-like force poured out of the body. This is... Yukito widened his eyes and opened his mouth, as if he couldn't breathe, which was extremely uncomfortable. It's a little different from the power of the god of death. With the power of emptiness, you can only die once. As soon as the voice fell, the wooden man was shocked, and then his soul was stripped of his body. The next moment, a black light flashed on his chest, and a dark void was quietly born. Juya, cut off her causal chain. Aizen instructed, and after speaking, she sat down on her own. Understood. Juyi Hihi Isho, with a wave of his hand, he directly cut off a dark chain connecting the soul and the body of the wooden man. Ah! Born by a wooden man screaming and losing the chain of cause and effect, it means that the fate of the soul in this body has been exhausted, which means that this person is really dead. Wow! Suddenly, from the wooden man's body, a white substance suddenly poured out, from the mouth, nose, ears, eyes, etc., all at once, and then quickly wrapped the whole person, forming a monster with a mask of emptiness. Roar! Boom! A manic spiritual pressure came suddenly. Outside the house, the fourth Reikage felt the Reiatsu in surprise. Has it begun? Hearing her voice, it seems to be very painful. Darui's eyes twitched. Really reliable, this group of people. This is Reiatsu. Kurabi looked a little serious. Yao was telling me that this power is very evil. The three were a little nervous. In the house, the wooden man whose soul was in a virtual state, the power of the tailed beast in his body suddenly swarmed out. Two-tailed cat again. Hi. Two tails appeared behind the wooden man, the tailed beast chakra wrapped the virtual body, and the two forces were fighting against each other. Oh, is this the rhythm of going berserk? Juyi commented. The power of the void and the power of the tailed beast are fighting, and one mountain cannot tolerate two tigers, which is really unexpected. He. Lan Ran smiled, and with a flick of his finger, Bengyu immediately flew to the top of Yumu Ren's head, hanging in the air. It's okay, it's just a little extra effort. Bengyu radiated radiance, instantly suppressing Rui's power. At the next moment, from the virtualization of the wooden man, it began to evolve towards a deeper level. Ordinary void gradually evolved into great void. From the size of a human, her body gradually turned into a monster of a high-rise building. In front of its open giant mouth, a dark red virtual flash is gradually taking shape. This way of using Bengyu to forcibly blur, ordinary people really can't stand it, and she began to vent her strength. Juya shook his head and said, her limit is Killian, right? Not necessarily. Aizen was very calm. My ability to interfere can even interfere with the past and the future. Of course, there is no problem with the process of mere blurring. Between the words, a force poured directly into Yumu's body and began to change the process of its blurring. After she became a gigantic 177 Leon-class phantom, this force pushed her to advance towards Ichuka's. Isn't it okay? Darui frowned deeply. It's been 3 hours. The fourth Reikage's expression was also very serious. From the beginning, 3 hours passed, and Yuki's screams did not stop. What started out as a female scream soon turned into a low roar, like a monster. If it weren't for the fact that Aizen was powerful, he would have wanted to go in and see what happened. At this moment, with a creak, the wooden door opened. The moment the door opened, the three of them cheered up, but the next moment, a wind of spiritual pressure suddenly blew through, directly forcing the three back to their feet. Da da da. The sound of footsteps came, and a graceful figure gradually walked out of the house. Yumu. Darui shouted uncertainly. It's me. Ming. Yumu Ren slowly opened her eyes and her appearance has changed greatly. Originally, she had straight beige-brown hair, but now, this brown hair has turned gray and white, and her face is even more small half-stubborn mask. Not only that, but there is also a sword on his waist. Are you really a Yumu? The fourth Reikage was secretly surprised. How do you feel? Lord Reikage, Yukito looked indifferent, reached out and shook his right palm. It feels great. I think, now, Reikage-sama doesn't seem to be my opponent either. Chapter 0894-3 Tails captured successfully. Today, she has steel skin, ordinary ninjutsu, and even her defense can't be broken. Even if she is the fourth generation of Reikage, after she is confident that she can return to the blade, she can fight or even win. Saying so, she and I took a deep breath, but shook my head. It's a thin soul, it's uncomfortable. The Naruto world is just a general material world, and naturally there are not a lot of spiritual sons. For Yuki, it seems like a lack of oxygen. However, this is nothing, and it can be maintained with its own power. Hearing this, the three of them looked at each other in dismay, and felt that this woman had changed a lot in her personality. Are you really all right? Darui whispered. What kind of power did you gain? It's not clear. Why don't you actually experience it? Yuki Vivi Isho said. You should buy a package first, and then experiment. Just as he was talking, Juyi came out again, with a gentle smile on his face. Next. I'm coming. Darui glanced at Kurabi, then stepped forward and said, I also choose package 2. I don't mind if you choose package 2. Juya shook his head. This woman can succeed, but we have spent a lot of effort, you can forget it. Moreover, even if this woman has the help of Aizen-sama, she is at the level of an Ichuka's level broken face. In fact, it is no different from package 1. Quote, "Not everyone can evolve to the Vastad level. Even if Aizen interferes with the evolution of the other party, this woman just raised the limit from Killian to Ichuka's." Ichuka's. Darui frowned. "Well, you don't need to know, just know that Daxu is divided into 3 levels. Killian, Yachukas, and Vastad, similar to Shamanen, Chunin, and Shangen. It cannot become the effect of Vastad's package 2 and package 1 is not much different." 7. Okay, that package 1. Darui didn't insist, and he was also afraid that his personality would change greatly. Like Yuki, it was like a different person. Seeing this, the 4th Raikage paid 800 reals again. The strengthening of package 1 is much simpler and safer. Stimulates the opponent's power of death, and then grants the Zanpakudo a light hit, and then imparts Shikai and Benkai to the opponent. Normally, if a person wants to repair to Benkai, even if he is a genius, it will take more than 10 years, or even decades. But this light hit was made by Aizen. The moment Darui touched the light hit, Aizen knew the opponent's ability and clearly knew the liberation language of Shikai and Benkai. Therefore, it is enough to directly inform the other party of the liberation language, and the rest is nothing more than to improve the other party's spiritual pressure. This is a piece of cake for Aizen. It is not difficult to directly promote a person who knows nothing to the level of captain. It can be said that it is easy. The only problem is that it is time-consuming. It takes about 3 or 5 days. At this moment, Juya walked out of the wooden house again and said to the rest of the group, 5 days later, you can come again. Although the first package is much safer, it will take more time." "Good." The 4th Raikage nodded. Just right, he also needed a little time to collect more ninjutsu scrolls. The scrolls in his hand were not enough to pay for himself and Kurabi's enhancement. "Let's go. Bye, Yumu Ren. Next, there is an important task for you." While Darui was strengthening the first package, in the center of a mysterious lake, a behemoth suddenly rushed out from the bottom of the lake. This monster has 3 tails, and it looks like a gray mud turtle. However, the 3 tails at the moment were screaming, and the whole body was rolling in the lake, and finally turned over and floated on the surface of the water. 3 tails, the capture is complete. The masked man's expression was indifferent, and in the pupil of his right eye, the sickle-shaped kaleidoscope gradually degenerated and changed back to a 3-column jade. The next moment, he walked to Sanwei's side, his eyes narrowed. I saw ripples in the space, like a vortex, quickly sucking the huge 3 tails into the different space of the right eye. After doing this, the masked man turned around and walked back to the lakeshore. Suddenly, a half-black, half-white man appeared from the ground. "How's the investigation going?" the masked man said in a low voice, glanced at Juju, and asked directly. "I don't know, I can't investigate," Heiju said. "However, it is true that Tobarama was resurrected. Tsunade mastered the resurrection technique, and those ninjas who died in the battle between Konoha and Union were all resurrected. Are alive, of course, the power of one tail has disappeared." Hearing this, the masked man felt a great fluctuation in his heart. How is this possible? Besides Rinnegan, there are other powers that can revive the dead. How can Tsunade master such power? "I think," Baiju said, "it's not Tsunade's own power. According to the information, she was using a colorful feather at that time. That's the power of the feather, not her own power." Pause, Heiju said again. "If we also have this feather and revive the banner plan, we don't need to be so troublesome." "Well, let Nagato go to Konoha," the masked man's eyes flickered. "As long as you kill a group of Konoha ninjas, Tsunade will have to use that feather, and then we will be looking for opportunities to capture them." "I see, but on what excuse?" 9 Tails. The country of thunder. Feijuan and Jiaodu were slowly moving towards Union Village, and after the meeting ended, the two started to move non-stop. Their target is 2 Tails. "Jiaodu, have you noticed any difference?" Huh. I said pain, that guy seems to be a little unusual. Feijuan held the back of his head, and that a fei, too, I don't know where he got it from, and I've never heard of it. Who knows, as long as it doesn't prevent me from making money, it doesn't matter. The two talked as they walked, and before they knew it, they had reached the vicinity of Union. At this moment, Zhao suddenly stopped and said, I sensed a strong aura, coming this way. As he said that, he narrowed his eyes. It's the target, the two-tailed Manjuriyuki, and the other one is the eight tails. His pupils shrank. Hey, Feijuan laughed strangely, looks like we're lucky. Are you lucky? Zhao is awe-inspiring. He is different from Feijuan, an idiot. He has lived for so long, and it can be said that he is well informed. The moment he saw Yukito, he felt the difference in the other party. That woman. Chapter 0895-Undead Duo. He raised his eyebrows. Xiao. And G.T. Xiao's organization has been active recently, and two people in the land of the land, Zuli, were taken away. Even Union knew about this. The two-tailed man and the eight-tailed man. Feijuan grinned. Zhao, how about we take Yahweh back as well? Don't underestimate the strength of Renju. Zhao looked indifferent. Well, I will contain the eight tails. You can solve the second tail as soon as possible. After the task is completed, we will withdraw. It is very close to Union Village. If it attracts Thunder Shadow, we are in trouble too. Okay. Feijuan nodded, immediately took off his bloody march scythe from behind, and hurriedly attacked the wooden man. Seeing this, the wooden man said in a cold voice, Kirabi, you hind legs, I will deal with the two of them. Just try the new power. Hearing this, Kirabi took a few steps back decisively. He was also very curious, what kind of strength Yuki has now after using the second package. HMPH, how arrogant. Feijuan's face was full of dissatisfaction, and after getting close, the ninja in his hand slashed down. His bloody march scythe is a red three-segment Dalian road, with a very sharp blade, making it easy to cut steel. However, the march sickle landed on Yukito's arm, but it only cut the other's sleeves, not even the other's skin. Even when the sickle was pulled, a little spark appeared. What? Feijuan was taken aback. This woman's defense is stronger than steel. Not only him, but even Yuki himself was surprised. Although he knew that after strengthening, he had steel skin, but after experiencing it, he would understand that this kind of defense was impossible for ordinary attacks to penetrate. Q. Virtual Flash. 7. Thinking of this, the wooden man suddenly opened his mouth, and his spiritual power suddenly exploded, gathered in his mouth, and then turned into a flash of light and shot out. Whoosh! The sea blue phantom flash was fleeting, and its speed was so fast that Feijuan couldn't even react, and was directly swallowed by the phantom flash. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the space of dozens of meters in front was turned into ashes under a false flash. As for Feijuan himself, his chest was even more drenched in blood, and he was leaning on the bloody march side with one hand, so that he barely fell. Wow! He opened his mouth and spit, and a large amount of blood spilled like money. Damn, how can there be such ninjutsu in the information? No, is this really ninjutsu? There is no not seal, not even chakra, and the virtual flash from filling to launching took only 1 second. After taking one shot from the front, Feijuan turned into this tragic situation. Not far away, Zhao looked at this scene with a face full of surprise. What's going on? Is this really the two-tailed person Zuri? It didn't die. Yumu's eyes widened, the internal organs were broken, and it didn't die. Ordinary people should have died long ago, this guy can still speak. Cough cough cough, Feijuan coughed again and spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. Bastard, I will definitely dedicate you to Lord Heretic God. Between words, he suddenly threw the bloody march sickle out of his hand. This ninja has a rope loop and has a telescopic function. After throwing it out, it cuts the space like a dart. Seeing this, Yugi immediately pulled out the Zanpakuto from his waist and blocked the flying sickle. Ding! With a soft sound, the bloody March scythe was bounced off, and the next moment, the wooden man moved on his feet and quickly approached the opponent. Bing! Ring! With a muffled sound, she flashed directly behind Feijuan, and then, the high Zanpakuto swept past without hesitation. Pat! Feijuan was stunned, only to feel that his vision was reversed. His body was standing upside down. No, that body had no head, and the cutting position was spewing blood. HMPH, the members of Akatsuki's organization are not very good, they are not worth mentioning at all. Yumu threw a knife flower, swept away the blood, and then looked at the other one. What a fast speed! Jiaodu was secretly startled. I didn't even see the trajectory of the movement. This guy's speed is probably faster than Reikage. Are you in a daze? The next one is you. The wooden man's eyes turned cold, and the ringing started again, and in an instant, he appeared in front of Jiaodu. In an instant, he crossed a distance of tens of meters and stabbed straight in the chest. Jiaodu's pupils shrank, and he reacted, but his body couldn't keep up with the rhythm for a moment. Puff! The chest was pierced by a blow. How is this possible? What's impossible, beyond your comprehension? It's just a little faster, not teleportation. Yu Muren's eyes were indifferent. He pulled out the Zanpakuto, and said in a dashing manner, to deal with you, you don't even need to return to the sword. With a thud, the corners fell to the ground. It's amazing, defense, speed, it's just a different person. Kurabi thought silently. Yao, what did you see? Shan. No, not dead yet. Deep in my heart, a voice suddenly came. Kurabi's face changed slightly, and he was about to remind him, but it was too late. Little girl, don't be too arrogant. Accompanied by a cold voice, a black thread suddenly erupted from the corpse of the angle. It is densely packed, like tentacles, and will be bound by the wooden man at once. What? Yumu turned back in disbelief. I pierced your heart. The angle that should have died, actually stood up slowly. Help me, Angle. Suddenly, a voice came from the head of Feijuan, who had rolled to the side. If you didn't pay attention, he had his head cut off. This woman, I will never go around her. Hurry up, Jiaodu, take me away. Sew back his head. This one isn't dead. Yukito was extremely shocked. He didn't even die if his head was chopped off. Two monsters. That's what I'm going to say. Jiaodu's tone was extremely unkind. I didn't expect to waste my heart against you. In terms of intelligence, you don't have this ability. Why don't you make it clear? Where does your power come from? It should be worth a lot of money. Jiaodu, save me first. Feijuan urged. Shut up, idiot. Jiaodu hummed. This woman has suddenly become so strong. This kind of information is much more important than you. As he said that, he looked at Yugi, who was tied into a zongzi. Speak, if you don't want to suffer. Or do you expect Yahweh to save you? No, just a little surprised. Two undead monsters. Yumu closed his eyes and opened them after a while. It really is the Akatsuki organization, and the members all have weird abilities. I underestimate you. Between the words, her right hand, VV's Zanpakuto, was thrown up. L. Cry, the ghost cat demon. Ming. Boom. Single quote. The soaring spiritual pressure burst out suddenly, breaking through all restraints in an instant. Chapter 0896_Eagle Squad. Even this piece of atmosphere is shaking. This is. Jiaodu was terrified, and immediately retreated quickly. While retreating, he grabbed Feijuan's body and head along the way. Between breathing, he opened a distance of dozens of meters, staring at a distance, his eyes flickered with doubt and surprise. After 3 or 5 breaths, the rapidly rising spiritual pressure suddenly reached a critical point, and finally gathered suddenly, contracted like a tornado, and then spread out. And as the aura faded, the figure of the wooden man finally revealed. It still generally maintains a human shape, but on the face, there are cat whiskers and dark lines. The waist and legs of the body are covered with black hair, and behind it, a forked tail stretches out, swinging slightly. At this moment, Yumu Ren's whole person looks very enchanting, and in the form of returning to the blade, her power also ushered in a skyrocket. What the hell is this? The corners were full of shock and whispered. But while he was speaking, the black silk thread that stretched out from behind was quickly suturing Feijuan's wound, and reconnecting his beheaded head. Surprised. I'm surprised too. The wooden man looked at his hands. His palms were like cat's claws, very sharp. This form is called Gui Blade. Most of my power is sealed in the sword just now. The liberation of the sword is the original power. The liberation. Well, let me tell you directly, my current combat power is about 5 times that of before. 5 times. Jiaodu's pupils shrank suddenly. Will the speed also increase by 5 times? What monster? Next, please tell me why you are here and what is the purpose of arresting Renzuli. Yumu squinted his eyes, took cat steps, and slowly approached 7. Seeing this, Fei Duanxian, who just took his head back, stood up and sneered, inexplicable power. However, this is good, and you will regret it later. Don't be impulsive, idiot. Jiaodu whispered. The opponent's strength is unknown, far beyond expectations. This operation failed, retreat first. What are you talking about, Jiaodu? This woman just chopped off my head, how can I bear this breath? Fei Duan is very dissatisfied. Hearing the conversation between the two, the figure suddenly disappeared with the movement of the wooden man's footsteps. She crossed a distance of a few meters in an instant and appeared between the two. Want to run? Dream. As soon as the voice fell, the cat's claws cut the space and tore away suddenly towards both sides. Whoosh. 8 silver flashes swept away from both sides. Jiaodu has been on the defensive, so he chose to escape and dodge for the first time. In contrast, Feijuan did not expect this at all, and only had time to block 3 of them with the bloody March scythe. With a puff, the silver light flickered, Feijuan's body was cut by the waist, and the whole person was divided into 2. In an instant, blood splattered all over the sky. Sure enough, he didn't even remember the lesson. Yumu Man glanced at the half-dead Feijuan, and sneered, your ninja tool is very good, it can actually block my cat demon claws. You know, the power of this blow, but it is enough to cut the earth of. Boom. As soon as the voice fell, I saw the direction of Jiaodu. Because the target was lost, the 4 slashes that flew over instantly cut the earth in the distance, leaving 4 deep ravines. Damn it. Feijuan's upper body was lying on the ground, lying in a pool of blood. His face was extremely ugly. You damned woman, you are doing it again and again. HMPH, better tell your purpose, otherwise, I don't mind cutting you into 8 pieces. NLT-F. At the same time, Jiaodu had already hid 100 meters away, and without turning his head, he fled quickly. I am sorry, Feijuan, you can't die anyway, I'll save you later. While fleeing, Jiaodu thought to himself, the 2-tailed man's pillar strength has suddenly become so much stronger. The information only says that with the power of the tailed beast, she can achieve the strength of an elite Junin, and now she looks like this, at least it's also a movie class. Besides, there is also an 8-tailed human pillar next to him. When Feijuan loses his combat effectiveness, he feels that his chances of winning are very low. Instead of working hard here, it is better to withdraw first, investigate clearly, and then consider how to complete the task. As for his partner Feijuan, since he is immortal anyway, Yunyan would at most seal and imprison him, and find a chance to rescue him. However, this information must be reported to Pain first. On the border between the land of fire and the land of Taki, there is a bridge somewhere. Orochimaru let out a sneer and looked at Sasuke Uchiha, who came not far away. Contact me, what's the matter? Orochimaru licked her tongue, her eyes full of greed. I heard that your revenge failed. It was a waste of money, leaving those eyes for you is such a waste. Orochimaru. Sasuke Uchiha said in a bad tone, do you want to disobey the orders of the ancestors? Speaking of Qin Yang, Orochimaru slightly restrained. Tell me, what's the matter? I need teammates, Uchiha Sasuke said indifferently. Now Konoha's second-generation Hokage is resurrected for some reason, and Konoha has the power to resurrect the dead. My strength is limited by myself. If I want revenge, I need an elite squad. Pause, he added. I know you have a few suitable candidates. So that's the case, is the team moving? The name of the squad is Eagle, and it needs at least 3 or 4 people. Sasuke Uchiha looked directly at Orochimaru. Kimimaro, lend him to me. Yes. Orochimaru agreed easily. Hey, you care about why I simply agreed. It doesn't matter, I can not only give you manpower, including myself, I can also participate in the action. But there is a price. What price? All the ninjutsu scrolls that the team got are mine. Orochimaru grinned. There is no need to hide this, and Sasuke Uchiha is also a person in the know. In this regard, Uchiha Sasuke pondered for a while, then nodded in agreement. Yes. Then it's a pleasure to work with. Orochimaru smiled. I'll call up people right away, and soon, you'll be able to see your partner. Hearing this, Sasuke Uchiha nodded with satisfaction. As soon as possible, within 2 days, attack Konoha. The ultimate goal of the Eagle Squad is only one, destroy Konoha. Chapter 0897 _ Make the World Feel Pain. Chie Itachi cannot be resurrected. And Gt. Therefore, the first purpose of this operation was to capture Tsunade's resurrection technique. As for destroying Konoha, it is unrealistic to rely on him and Orochimaru alone. Then, the meeting place will be. Thinking of this, Sasuke Uchiha reported a place name, then turned around and left. Don't use waste to fill the account. What the Eagle Squad needs is an elite ninja who can stand on its own. Hey. Orochimaru sneered and said nothing. Uchiha Sasuke has swelled a lot since Sharingan evolved into an eternal kaleidoscope. Of course, Orochimaru can see it, but he doesn't care. He wished that Sasuke Uchiha would become more inflated, and there would always be times when he would suffer. Do, Changwu, Junmalu, Gaidong Shuiyu, Shenglin 5 people, almost. Orochimaru's mind, and then, between Isho, he slowly left. The country of soil, Yenian village. Lord Toying, the chasing troops haven't found Xiao's base. Laozi and Han, I'm afraid they've already lost their luck. A Junin reported in a low voice. Hearing this, Oyegi's face was very ugly. Damn Akatsuki organization, these bastards. Uchiha Itachi and dried persimmon ghost shark, these two captured Laozi. Then, taking advantage of the time when the village's defenses were empty, Scorpion of Red Sand and Deidara captured Han. At present, the 4 members of Akatsuki's organization are all outstanding, and it is not easy to deal with them. And this is only 4 people. Oyemu doesn't think that the Xiao organization has so many members, and what about the leader? They want to use the power of the tailed beast to unify the entire ninja world. This is no longer a matter of our country. Hesitating for a moment, Onogi decisively commanded, send ninja pigeons to the country of wind, country of fire, country of water, and country of thunder, and inform the 5 shadows of the actions of Xiao's organization and their purpose. Yes. Secondly, let Lois, Kitu, Yiden, and Oishi come over, Onogi said solemnly. I'm going to Konoha. Talk to the 5th Hokage in person. Yes, Tsuchikage-sama. The world of nothingness, the gap between earth and heaven. In the darkness, there is a screen showing the changes of Konoha. Mizukage Terumi still stayed in Konoha, and even Sand Shinobi didn't leave. Tsunade entertained the group and asked the village's Junin to lead them around. Although Konoha was rebuilt after the disaster, there was nothing to see. It's getting worse. The 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi Risen looked serious. Although the resurrection technique has given Konoha an opportunity to rise, more and more people will be eyeing this ability. Indeed, Senju Hashirama nodded. When Tsunade showed this kind of power, he was already mentally prepared. and it would make Konoha the target of public criticism. We're going to speed things up, first generation. I feel like Konoha is going to have a big disaster soon. Sarutobi Hizen felt a little uneasy in his heart. Don't worry, Sarutobi, Tsunade is not a child, and besides, Tobarama is still there. After comforting a sentence, Senju Hasuma's face also became solemn. The only problem is, like, Tobarama, who will be resurrected like that. As soon as the voice fell, suddenly, the space rippled, and Chin-yang appeared quietly. Hibibi Isho said, "You don't have to worry about this. The only person who is resurrected now is Chinsho Tobarama." Chinsho Zujian did not relax, but said, "You said now." Degree. Not necessarily after that. Chin-yang chuckled and said, "By the way, I'll tell you the good news. In about 2 or 3 days, 2 forces will invade Konoha. If there is no accident, even if you have the ability to resurrect, even if you have Chinsho Tobarama, Muyayi is almost finished." What? Sarutobi Hizen's face changed greatly. What do you mean? The meaning is very simple. Your time is running out. Why don't you hurry up? Chin-yang said with a smile. He the younger generation of the village, but they are waiting for you to turn the tide. After speaking, his figure flickered and disappeared instantly. After hearing this, Sarutobi Hizen and Senju Hashirama were extremely heavy, and they didn't say anything immediately, and began to scribble down what they had learned all their lives. Chinsho Tobarama has come up with nearly 600 kinds of ninjutsu, and they can't be less than this number, otherwise, Chin-yang will turn his face. Shao Organization. You said, "Let me catch the 9 tails back." Nagato frowned. In the beginning, it was your intention to let the 9 tails go. This time the situation is different. The land has lost its people and pillars. They will not be silent. They will definitely try to tell other big countries the information. In any case, the tailed beast must be captured as soon as possible. Heiju said softly, and suddenly, his brows wrinkled. I saw that Baiju sensed the chakra from the depths of the earth, this chakra carrier intelligence. The news that just came, Feijuan and Angle failed. They encountered Erwei and Yatai Renzuli outside Union Village. After the battle, Jiaodu fled and Feijuan was arrested. What? Nagato frowned. Do these 2 idiots feel invincible because of their immortality? Shan. No, Yahweh didn't make a move, it was Erwei's man, Zhu Liamu. That woman suddenly became a lot stronger, reaching shadow-level strength. Dao Ti. Baiju was also puzzled. Not only that, she is not using ninjutsu, but another kind of power. In the case of 1 against 2, Feijuan was instantly killed. If not for the horns to run fast, I am afraid not. Good ending. Impossible. What happened? I don't know, Heiju said. It seems that I need to investigate it myself. He continued. The capture of the 9 1.2 tails cannot be stopped. You must act as soon as possible. I know, in 2 days, I'll do it. Nagato said in a cold voice. Since it has been completely exposed, let the world feel the pain. I want to let Konoha taste what Yahiko once felt. After saying that, he turned and left. Shortly after he left, a vortex was born in the space, and then, the masked man appeared quietly. What do you think? It's not the power of ninjutsu, the masked man said in a low voice. What I can think of is that organization. I think so too. Baiju cut out. They did a lot of things behind the scenes, making us very passive. Would you like to talk to them? No, the most important thing right now is the resurrection technique. At that time, I dealt with Tsunade myself. Chapter 0898 _ The rain is coming, the wind is filling the building. The power of, on this premise and GT, how many wolves will stare as if they smell fishy? Who doesn't want to be resurrected? Even if you don't want to, if you die one day, if you have this kind of power, you can give yourself a second life, or even a third or fourth life. Therefore, everyone is tacit, although it seems that the war between Konoha and Union has temporarily fallen into a stalemate and wait-and-see stage, but everyone knows that this is just brewing a bigger storm. At this moment, the Hokage building, a secret high-rise gathering. Tsunade, Chinsho Tobarama, Shimura Danzo, Shunkaharu, Mito Gateyen and others sat around a round table. Aren't you going to explain about resurrection? Tsunade. Danzo gave Chuan Xiaochun a wink, and when he got the hint, he immediately said softly, "Don't think too much, we don't want you to hand over any resurrection technique, it's just such an important thing, you have never been speak clearly, if there is any misunderstanding, it will be bad." Quote. Yeah, Tsunade, Mito 24 Menyon sighed. The power of resurrection is definitely a secret among the secrets, but those of us here should be qualified to know. What exactly is this ninjutsu, and it is necessary to master it? What's the price, blood? What's that feather? A bunch of immortals. Tsunade cursed inwardly, very annoyed. The power of the resurrection technique has already been shown, and now I don't know how many eyes are staring at it, and this group of people is still fighting. Although he knew that the situation at the upper level of Konoha was very bad, but facing these people directly, Tsunade still couldn't calm down. Chinsho Tobarama knew this very well. After all, when Tsunade made a deal with the Holy Archangel, he was caught in the afterlife and could see it clearly on the screen. Immediately, he raised his hand to stop Tsunade from speaking, and said, "I can answer you about this. Can't you even believe me?" 7. Hearing this, the faces of the three of Danzo suddenly turned bad. Originally, several of them were the highest in Konoha in terms of seniority, but the second-generation Hokage was a person of a higher generation, and it was still the former Hokage. Second generation, Xiaochun said in a low voice, "About your resurrection, please explain. You can be resurrected, does that mean that the first generation, Sarutobi, and even Minato can be resurrected?" Of course. Chinsho Tobarama didn't even think about it, and replied directly, "They will be resurrected soon, wait patiently for a while." Is it Tsunade's power? Mito Gateyen asked. Yes. Chinsho Tobarama glanced at Tsunade and said, "When she was away, she met a fairy who taught her the power to resurrect the dead. However, to master this power, it takes decades of practice. Tsunade has only recently mastered it. Also, learning requires very high conditions." Quote. Hearing this, the three looked at each other. Danzo's expression looked a bit gloomy. Tsunade doesn't matter. If the two brothers Senju Tobarama and Chinsho Hasuma are resurrected, Konoha will have his share in the future. If even the fourth generation of Minato and the third generation of Sarutobi are also alive, I am afraid that in the future Konoha will a single family. No, I must get the power of resurrection. Danzo's eyes flickered, and he was already thinking about countermeasures in his heart. The power in the village cannot be resisted, and external power is needed. Danzo pondered, and suddenly thought of several methods, but this method was not very good for Konoha. About the resurrection technique, it will be classified as Konoha's secret in the future, and only Hokage can know it. Chinsho Tobarama resolutely blocked the mouths of a few people. Next, what we need to deal with is the force that is eyeing this power. As you all know, Mizukage is in the village now, and looking at her appearance, it will be short-term. Nei will not leave. What is she planning to do? Do you have some idea? You want to say she's also eyeing Tsunade? Xiaochun turned to bed with a tight expression. Although she has a good relationship with Danzo, she is not completely on the same line. She cares more about Konoha than Danzo. And the resurrection technique is the most important thing in Konoha right now. It is much more important than the human column force. Expel her. No, if we do this, the Kingdom of Water will be pushed to the opposite side, and they still have the possibility to win over. Now we unite with Sand Ninja, and if we establish friendship with the Kingdom of Water, some things can be done. Tsunade finally couldn't bear it any longer and said directly, "Now I am Hokage, I have the final say." The country of thunder, Union Village. In a dark cell, Feijuan was nailed to the wall, and his body was full of torture instruments. It's been a day and a night, and it's still not dead. One of the Junin in charge of the torture couldn't help but muttered, "It really is an immortal monster." Saying that, he looked at Yuki and said, "Do you want to continue? Lock him first and seal his chakra." Yumu shook his head and turned to leave the cell. She went to the Reikage building, and after entering the door, she saw Reikage and several people looking solemn. "You're here." Fourth Reikage nodded and said, "I just have a task for you." "Lord Reikage, what's the matter?" The fourth generation of Mizukage Terumime is currently a guest in Konoha. She sent us a ninja pigeon and wants to join forces to win Tsunade's resurrection. Sean. Fourth Reikage said, "As long as Tsunade still has the resurrection technique, we can't beat us head-on. If we don't consume 630, our people are human lives, their people hum." "Do you need me to help?" Yumu asked curiously. Now he is the second expert in the Kingdom of Thunder. Of course, saying that he is the second is to save Lei Ying's face. From Yuki's own point of view, Reikage might not necessarily be her opponent. However, he is stronger than eight-tailed Kurabi, which is for sure. The two fought against each other yesterday, and Kurabi is not an opponent after liberating the power of eight-tailed. "I want you to go to Konoha, bring a team, cooperate with Mizukage, and kill Tsunade. Even if it doesn't work, you have to get the resurrection technique. The last time, you have to abolish her power," Lei Shadow said coldly. "Also, your second purpose is to snatch Konoha's ninjutsu scrolls, the more the better." Hearing this, Yumu Ren suddenly laughed. Her eyes flashed, and a few thoughts emerged in her heart. Her current strength can be strengthened. If there are more ninjutsu scrolls, she can become stronger. "Okay, I got it." Yumu nodded immediately. "I will complete the task, please rest assured, Reikage-sama." Next, Reikage arranged some details. On the same day, Yukito headed to Konoha first, while the accompanying Jonin team lurked behind and stood by. For a while, the major forces in the ninja world focused on Konoha, and a big turmoil was coming. Chapter 0899-Calamity of Konoha. And at this moment, in the afterlife, Namikaze Minato is watching all this with a frown. There were 5 screens in front of him, and the central screen flashed a picture of Tsunade talking to Terumime and others. On the other 4 corners of the screen, the 4 forces were displayed. "Did you see it?" Chinyang didn't know when he appeared, and said playfully, "The one sitting in the corner is the leader of the Akatsuki organization, Nagato. Rinnegan, S-user, personal combat power, surpasses the shadow level. The one next to him is Xiaonan, who is also organized by Xiao. A member." "Pause," he said again. In the lower left corner, Sasuke Uchiha and Orochimaru, they really are eyeing Konoha, eyeing the resurrection technique. He. What's that in the lower right corner? Minato Namikaze couldn't help but say, "That woman, the power of the tailed beast. The human column force. No, not the pure human column force. That's the two-tailed person Zuli, made of wooden figures, her strength, shadow level. By the way, behind her, there is a 9-person Shang Nin team." Chinyang chuckled and said, "As for the upper right corner at the end, it's Onogi, you know it, the 3 generations of Tukage. They probably want to contact Konoha and unite against the Xiao organization." Shaking his head, Chinyang sighed. "Anyway, under the siege of so many masters, Konoha is basically finished." "You did the resurrection of the 2nd generation as well?" Minato Namikaze asked curiously. "You took so much trouble to resurrect so many people just for the ninjutsu scroll." "Pursue the only ninjutsu," Chinyang said calmly. "At the peak of all ninjutsu, there is absolutely invincible power, and to reach this stage, I need endless ninjutsu for me to study." Chang Minwiman didn't believe a word. The person in front of him could interfere with life and death and reverse his fate. How could his purpose be this level? "You have found me. It seems that the 1st and 3rd generations have already been calculated by you." Minato Namikaze asked again. "I have carefully analyzed your phantom movements in the past few days, and I can roughly conclude that if you want chaos in the ninja world, the 5 countries will fight." Pause, he continued. "Sunsho obtained the resurrection technique, and it is also your handwriting. Use this to set up Konoha and cause turmoil. But you don't want Konoha to be completely destroyed, so you found us dead people again. It's amazing, Chin-Yong praised. If all of us dead Hokage are resurrected, Konoha's hostile forces will appear powerless. I'm afraid it won't be long before the first Raikage, the first Mizukage, the first Tsuchikage, the first Kazekage and the like will even be resurrected one by one. It's possible. Chin-Yong laughed Isho, and said, what will the ninja world look like at that time? In a village now, the shadow level masters are only single digits, 1 or 2, but if that time comes, a village's shadow level masters will probably be more than 10. It must be a fun fight. Quote. Hearing Chin-Yang's description of the scene, Minato shuddered. If it really develops like this, it would be terrifying. There are so many shadow level villages in one village. If they are put into a battlefield, the number of shadow level people will probably reach dozens, and so many powerhouses will fight. Itself a disaster. Thinking of this, Minato Namikaze took a deep breath. I'll transcribe everything I've learned in my life. You can revive me right away. Of course. Do I have to deceive you? Chin-Yong smiled and said, it's just that the time you need to transcribe the scroll has nothing to do with me. Give me 3 hours. Namikaze Minato looked serious. 3 hours is enough. Then I'll look forward to it. When Chin-Yong waved his hand, a large number of blank scrolls appeared, and he threw them at the foot of Minato Namikaze. You have to hurry up, otherwise, when you are resurrected, what you are waiting for is Konoha that has turned into a corpse hehehe. A room where guests are entertained in Konoha village. Terumi Mei sat upright, looking at Tsunade beside her. I have traveled all over Konoha village in the past few days, and I have to say that the country of fire is worthy of being the first of the 5 countries. After the reconstruction, the prosperity was restored in a short period of time. Mei Terumi smiled sweetly and looked like a good sister. I admire the ability of the 5th Hokage. This time with you, I want to share with you about resurrection. Tsunade was too lazy to take her compliment, and said bluntly, you have seen it, Konoha is now in ruins, surrounded by powerful enemies, and qualified allies are urgently needed. For this reason, the resurrection technique, you want to know about Mizukage information that I can share with you. Quote. Hearing this, Terumi Mei's eyes flashed, but her heart became a little nervous. She contacted the Kingdom of Thunder, but under the eyes of Konoha, was it possible that she was discovered by the other party? Oh, regarding the resurrection technique, what did the 5th Hokage want to say? As soon as the voice fell, suddenly, there was a huge vibration from the outside. Boom. What's wrong? Tsunade's expression changed slightly. At this time, an Anbu ninja walked in and whispered. Master Tsunade, the barrier of the village was suddenly hit by something, and there are invaders in the northwest. What? Tsunade's expression was startled. Union. Her first reaction was that the country of Lei had made a ghost. Some people move faster than others. To the northwest of Konoha village, in the unknown near the residential area, the space flickered for a while, and Chinsho Tobarama suddenly appeared here. Huh. He saw the intruder and couldn't help be startled. Shao. I thought it was Yun Yin's 2nd Hokage. Nagato stared indifferently, looking directly at the other party. You move so fast, is it the technique of Flying Thunder God? Pause, he sneered. You come to deal with me, you are not afraid of regrets. Before I launched the invasion, I had already sensed several breaths. It seems that today is the disaster day for your Konoha. It's ready. Chinsho Tobarama was unmoved. I know you. Tsunade gave me some information about Akatsuki's organization. You are Jiraiya's disciple, and now you are the leader of Akatsuki's organization. Invading Konoha is also for the resurrection. Resurrection. Nagato's eyes narrowed. Who knows, maybe someone is more interested. To be honest, he would agree to refuse, and resurrection is indeed one of the reasons. After all, he also has people who want to be resurrected. Before that, I want to experience the strength of the famous 2nd-generation Hokage. Between the words, Nagato's hands formed a seal, The Art of Psychicism, The 6 Avatars. Puff. 6 groups of white fog flashed past, and 6 bodies suddenly appeared. If anyone in the know is here, they will be shocked. Because of these 6 clones, 3 of them are very familiar, and they are 1-tailed, 4-tailed, and 5-tailed human Zuli. Chapter 0900-Meet Mingzuo. Before, he was resurrected by Tsunade, and he returned. Is this the eyes that 6 Path Immortals had back then? Looked at the 7 pairs of Rinnegan and murmured, I have a very keen perception of chakra, and if I look at your eyes, I can feel the huge pupil power. Such a strong pupil power, I only seen in 2 people. 2 people, one is Madara Uchiha and the other is Chinyang. Then use your body to experience the true power of Rinnegan. Nagato took a few steps back, not intending to do anything at all. As for Pen's 6 paths, they all started ninjutsu. The art of psychic, the animal said with a seal on his hands, and while he was drinking low, a thick white smoke suddenly erupted around him. After the thick smoke, 9 large psychic beasts appeared all at once. Crabs, lobsters, chameleons, split dogs, octopus, rhinos, buffaloes, pandas, centipedes. 9 psychic beasts, each of which has a Rinnegan eye and shares the vision with the beast. After appearing at this moment, he immediately roared 733 and launched an attack towards Senju Tobarama. You don't need a blood contract, you can use your huge pupil power to forcibly summon a high-level psychic art of psychic beasts should you say it's Rinnegan. Chinsho Tobarama's face was solemn. Although there is only one enemy, in a real fight, Pen's 6 paths is equivalent to 6 masters, and each of them has very special abilities. This information is not a secret, Senju Tobarama certainly knows it. To be honest, I may not be able to beat him, it seems that I can only contain it. The target is locked on the body. Thinking of this, he retreated and made a seal, shadow clone technique. Q. As the founder of this forbidden technique, the shadow clones used by Senju Tobarama are much higher in level and quality. The 2 Senju Tobarama, while retreating, formed the same seal of forbearance, water escape heaven weeps. Boom. It was a clear sky, but suddenly there were dark clouds and a torrential rain hit. The rain that fell from the sky, like sharp silver needles, poured down on the earth. 9 psychic beasts, unable to get close, found the obstacle of the rainstorm. As expected of the 2nd generation, the pinnacle user of water escape ninjutsu. Pain said lightly, one ninjutsu changes the climate. However, at this level, Rinnegan can't be stopped. As soon as the words fell, Shiradao's clone opened his arms, as if hugging the sky, and then, all over his body, began to show various hot weapons. Dozens of rockets shot out in unison. Not only that, but a laser beam was shot from the position of its head, which instantly spanned a distance of tens of meters, penetrated the rainstorm, and fell straight to the 1,000 Hands Tobarama. Boom! A roar, causing a cloud of smoke. At the same time, in the central area of Konoha village, many ninja teams gathered here. Don't be impulsive, Naruto. Kakashi grabbed Naruto Uzumaki and said, we have to listen to the arrangement here. But, Kakashi-sensei, the invaders have already come in. Didn't you hear the loud noise just now? Uzumaki Naruto was very anxious. So, don't be impulsive. Kakashi is very helpless. There will be intruders, this is expected, except for stupid guys like Naruto, basically everyone is psychologically prepared. You are the pillar of strength, the target we need to protect, aren't you adding trouble if you rush out? Kakashi said, don't act rashly until you figure out who the intruder is and what the purpose is. Yeah. Kakashi is right. Matekai came over and said, Tiantian, Lee, Neji, the 3 of you are responsible for protecting Naruto's safety. Now, take him to Tsunade-sama first. Yes, Mr. Kai, please leave it to me. Lee Kuro nodded heavily. Naruto, please don't be willful. Seeing this, Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth for a while, and finally nodded. I know that when you need my help, please let me do it, I will not be swallowed by the power of the 9 tails again, I will control it. Well, then, I will ask you. Kakashi patted him on the shoulder, and then said, let's go, you guys, hurry up. Immediately, the 4 left the meeting point and headed to the Hokage building. And after they left, the squad leader of the Shangnan squad, Nara Shikahisa, had come out and said to many ninjas, now that the village has been invaded, we will act according to the prepared plan. First, confirm the number and identities of the invaders, everyone. Act in groups of 4. Not to mention Konoha's reaction, at the main entrance of the village, several members of the Konoha guard team had all fallen to the ground, in a pool of blood. Orochimaru-sama, it's settled. Kunmaro looked back at Orochimaru. Beside him, there are 3 men and 1 woman. The 4 are Changwu, Gaidong Shuiyu, Yaoshido, and Xianglin. Good job, re-emphasize my blood and the blood of longevity. After the 2 are combined, I have developed the initial, Seal of God, which is a power that surpasses the seals of heaven and earth. Junmalu, you the bloodstain is very suitable for the Seal of God, this action, you can show it to your heart's content. Orochimaru walked slowly, struttingly approaching Konoha village. Oh, the village that was razed to the ground last time has recovered so quickly. It's really touching. Sir Orochimaru, the pharmacist said in a low voice, someone is 1 step ahead of us, in the northwest direction. Incense. The woman named Shangrin was sensing chakra, and after a while, she said, terrible chakra. Lord Orochimaru, those people. I know who it is. Orochimaru snorted, it's really going to kill Konoha, hurry up, Sasuke has already started first, and we have to speed up our pace. Yes. In the central area of Konoha, Hyuga Neji and others protected Naruto Uzumaki and quickly headed to the Hokage building. However, in front of them, at the end of the stone street, a young man in a black cloak suddenly blocked their way. You are. Lee Kuro was taken aback, Sasuke. Sasuke. Naruto Uzumaki widened his eyes, then said happily, you're back. Great, but Sakura has been worried about you. Hearing this, Sasuke Uchiha's face was grim, without the slightest emotion. Naruto, long time no see. Okay, long time no see. Tell me, where is Tsunade? Uchiha Sasuke asked in a cold voice. I just came from the Hokage building and I didn't find Tsunade. Did you hide her? What? Uzumaki Naruto was stunned. What are you talking about? Sasuke, it's very dangerous here. Someone invaded Konoha, you. Don't you understand yet? Neji Hyuga pressed Naruto's shoulders. His eyes opened quietly. The Sasuke you see now is not the Sasuke you know. The chakra in his body is stronger than Teacher Kai and Senior Kakashi. Much more. This guy is one of the intruders.